Chapter 133. Although Yu Yang was unable to instantly kill the silver-ranked level 6 Oxhead warrior, his merciless attack caused its two giant red eyeballs to explode at the same time. Leaping into the air, the blind Oxhead warrior, who had completely lost its momentum, was being mercilessly beaten by Hui Tai Lang. Its sharp teeth bit onto the Oxhead warrior's legs. Using its body's swaying strength and its own explosive strength, it threw the Oxhead warrior far away. This move was the result of Yu Yang's special training of Hui Tai Lang after he had explored the weaknesses of beasts. Most beasts would be less controlled the further away they were from their masters. For a beast with brute strength like the Oxhead warrior, if it had a master to direct its every move, its battle power would undoubtedly rise to a whole new level, like adding wings to a tiger. On the contrary, if it lost its master's mental command and lost its eyes, it would become blind and its battle power would definitely be greatly reduced. The Oxhead warrior fell onto the ground and immediately rebounded angrily. Both of its eyes had burst open and blood was dripping down, but its strong body still possessed extremely strong combat power. So, it's not a guardian beast. Die. At first, Yu Yang had thought that the Oxhead warrior was a guardian beast. Who would have thought that Elder Tian Suo did not have any control over the Oxhead warrior that had gone mad from anger? The killing intent on Elder Tian Suo's face became even thicker as he descended from the sky, like a phoenix dancing in the nine heavens. Boom, boom, boom. 3 consecutive kicks landed on the Oxhead warrior's face, sending it flying 10 meters away. The Oxhead warrior had completely gone crazy. It waved its axe wildly. But how could it, who had become blind, hit Yu Yang, who was as light as a swallow and could move erratically? Oh! Hui Tai Lang roared and hit the Oxhead warrior's waist with the force of a thunderbolt, sending it flying another 10 meters away. Yu Yang coordinated with it, ignoring Elder Tian Suo, who was so angry that his face was distorted, and focused on attacking the Oxhead warrior. In less than 10 seconds, the Oxhead warrior was sent flying 100 meters away by Yu Yang and Hui Tai Lang's combined attack. On one side of the medical center, there was a cliff that was 100 meters tall. When Elder Tian Suo saw it, he immediately understood the opponent's intentions. First, they would blind the Oxhead warrior's eyes, then they would knock it off the cliff. Elder Tian Suo summoned 2 strengthening-type beasts consecutively and strengthened them on his body. He then took out a long blade and pounced towards Yu Yang like a bolt of lightning. Rat Centipede, don't even think about succeeding. Facing the sky, full of saber lights, Yu Yang calmly threw out an item. This was an item seized from Lich Su, the sphere of certain death. As long as it was crushed, it would be able to send both the user and the enemy to the dimension of certain death. When Yu Yang faced the extremely arrogant Elder Tian Suo from the Floating Mist sect, a murderous intent arose in his heart. If he had the protection of the Grimoire's protective shield, Yu Yang knew that he wouldn't be able to kill this fellow easily. However, as long as he abandoned the protective shield and fought with his own strength, then his death would come. This Elder Tian Suo was definitely a strong ranker who specialized in strengthening-type beasts. Yu Yang reckoned that his beasts were not any weaker than the gold-ranked strengthening-type beast in Elder Yu Hai's body, the Earth Bear. It was even possible that he himself had the strength of the Dixia Emperor Junwu Yu, a level 7 overlord. This fellow was definitely a difficult opponent. Compared to the Floating Mist sect's teacher, Elder Ku Ming, his strength was much higher. Yu Yang had heard before that the Floating Mist sect had 2 Sky Elders and 4 elders under sect leader Bai Yun. He reckoned that Elder Tian Suo's strength was so strong that he didn't even put the Dixia Empire in his eyes. It seemed that he was one of the 4 elders. If he didn't use his innate invisible sword Qi, it would be very difficult to defeat this fellow. However, if he used his innate invisible sword Qi, if his opponent didn't die and escaped, he would definitely report to sect leader Bai Yun that he was an innate ranker. Hence, he had to die. Yu Yang used the sphere of certain death that he was extremely reluctant to use. The purplish-black light instantly spread out like a shockwave the second after the blade aura shattered the sphere of certain death. Elder Tian Sua missed his attack and didn't have the time to pull out his blade to escape. He was already swept by the purplish-black light and disappeared from the dimension of certain death. Yu Yang disappeared at the same time, but Hui Tai Lang managed to jump far away in time. After the teleportation was completed, it first lured the Oxhead warrior to the edge of the cliff, then fiercely rammed the blinded Oxhead warrior who was swinging his axe randomly down the cliff. Then, it quickly returned and flew towards the fog monster who had half of its body turned into smoke and was wrapped around the old lady doctor. Yu Yang wasn't here, so it naturally wouldn't be polite with the fog monster's magic crystal. It would just treat it as a snack. On the other side of the mountain wall, the eagle-eyed guy waved his huge sword and slashed at the white python that had coiled around him with its huge tail. As for the extremely cunning white python, it used its tail to coil around the eagle-eyed guy and smashed him around randomly. The black armor on the eagle-eyed guy's body was shattered, and he was in a sorry state. Luckily, his defense was extremely good, so his injuries weren't too serious, and he still had his battle power. The eagle-eyed guy's heart was filled with unspeakable bitterness. He couldn't summon his own beasts, because python-type beasts were coincidentally the nemesis of his beasts. Right now, he had to fight this silver-ranked level 8 giant python alone. In the soaring dragon continent, the person who used the sphere of duel would be transported to the dimension of duel together with his opponent. The dimension of duel was a little different from the dimension of duel in the demon abyss. The space here was bigger and brighter. It was different from the dimension of duel that was more suitable for demons to fight in the dark. The dimension of duel was obviously more beneficial for human warriors to fight. Good, what a good scoundrel. Elder Tian Suo was really angry. He felt a sense of humiliation, as if he had been schemed against by someone. Old dog, are these your last words? Yu Yang wouldn't be polite with him anymore. He immediately summoned the Bloody Queen and the barbarian Cow Shadow. Bloody Queen? The Golden King Beast's Bloody Queen? When Elder Tian Suo saw this, his expression changed and his heart shook. He didn't expect that the Golden King Beast that even he couldn't possess would actually be summoned by this young junior. Jealousy welled up in his heart, and the killing intent in his eyes became even thicker. If he didn't kill this brat, he would definitely become a great threat in the future. Fortunately, the Bloody Queen's level wasn't high. It was only gold-ranked level 4. Otherwise, it would be hard to say who would be the one to die today. The Bloody Queen flew high up in the sky. Under Yu Yang's control, the barbarian Cow Shadow didn't immediately charge forward to attack. Instead, it followed closely behind Yu Yang, waiting for an opportunity to attack. As for the Thorny Flower, Little One Li, and the Golden Beast, Yu Yang would leave them behind first, waiting for the right time to launch a sneak attack. Elder Tian Suo seemed to have rich battle experience. He couldn't summon his grimoire anymore, but he didn't put all of his beasts into his platinum grimoire. He took out a sparkling crystal and summoned a bronze-ranked level 7 rock-skinned big idiot beast, using it to deal with the bronze-ranked level 5 barbarian Cow Shadow. As for the Bloody Queen, he summoned a bronze-ranked level 7 Thunder Goblin Bat, letting this extremely fast two-headed goblin bat fight with her. Elder Tian Suo had originally thought that Yu Yang would hide behind his shield and not come out. He didn't expect that Yu Yang would actually keep his silver grimoire. Seeing that Yu Yang had kept his grimoire, Elder Tian Suo laughed arrogantly. Do you think that you can deal with me with just a gold-ranked level 4 Bloody Queen? What a joke. Yu Yang didn't reply. He raised his Hui Jin magic blade in his hand. Purple flames rose up. Under Elder Tian Suo's unbridled and arrogant attack, Yu Yang disappeared like a wisp of smoke, pouncing towards the rock-skinned big idiot beast. Idiot, you're courting death. Elder Tian Suo thought that Yu Yang was greedy and wanted to kill his rock-skinned big idiot beast first, then bring his other beasts to surround and kill him. He snorted in disdain, and his blade flashed like quicksilver, chasing closely after Yu Yang's figure. That rock-skinned big idiot beast also raised its giant bat and smashed it down. Under Yu Yang's mental command, The barbarian cow shadow in front of it dodged the attack. The giant slaughtering blade in her hands heavily slashed at the rock-skinned big idiot beast's waist, causing a burst of rock fragments to fly everywhere. Yu Yang rushed over and stepped on the barbarian cow shadow's back, leaping into the air. The barbarian cow shadow cooperated with him and spun her body, throwing Yu Yang's body out of the air. Yu Yang's figure streaked across the sky like a ray of light, hurriedly shooting towards the thunder goblin bat that was entangled with the bloody queen in the sky. Elder Tian Sua's blade slashed empty air, but he realized that this cunning brat had already escaped. He roared in anger, turned his body, and stepped on the ground, leaping high into the air and chasing after Yu Yang like a ferocious tiger. He felt that with just his combat skills, there would definitely not be any younger generation that could withstand 3 of his attacks. Furthermore, he had the support of 2 strengthening-type beasts. He only needed 1 slash to kill this brat in an instant. However, this brat was extremely slippery, dodging and not fighting. This made him extremely angry. The Thunder Goblin Bat was not afraid of Yu Yang's attack. Its speed was extremely fast, and it had already used sound waves to detect its enemy's position. It first used both of its heads to spit out a ball of crackling electricity towards Yu Yang. It then used its giant wings to sweep out countless electric arcs. The former was the Thunder Goblin Bat's instincts, while the latter was controlled by Elder Tian Sa. In his eyes, as long as this slippery brat was hit by any of the electric arcs, he believed that he would be electrocuted until his entire body was paralyzed, and he would fall to the ground, unable to get up. He did not hope that the electric arcs would be able to kill his opponent. As long as this brat's body was paralyzed, even if it was only for a second, he would still become a ghost under his blade. You came at the right time. Yu Yang's Hui Jin spun mysteriously. He unleashed the spherical beheader that he had comprehended on his own. The yin and yang fishes spun towards each other. Those electric arcs caused him to spin into 2 electric arcs, while the 2 balls of electric arcs mysteriously became the eyes of the yin and yang fishes. The originally chaotic electric arcs in the sky had now formed a perfect circle. Under the control of Yu Yang's left hand, they slowly spun and slashed towards Elder Tian Sa, who was raising his blade and slashing wildly behind him. Elder Tian Sua's expression turned blank. Such a mysterious and mystical combat skill. Even he had never heard of it before. How was this possible? What kind of combat skill was this? In the sky, the bloody queen increased her speed. A human's naked eye could not even see her flight clearly. Diving down, her crescent blade heavily slashed between the Thunder Goblin Bat's 2 heads, almost cutting the 2-headed Goblin Bat, which had lost its electric protection, into 2 halves. The gold-ranked dragon, slaying dagger in her other hand, pierced deeply into the Thunder Goblin Bat's back, piercing through its heart. Yu Yang rushed over, and his Hui Jin slashed through the Thunder Goblin Bat's chest. He then used his left hand to grab the giant bat's claw and flung it towards Elder Tian Sa, who had dodged the twin fish electric circular cut. The giant blade that was flying towards him had an unparalleled power. With 1 slash, it cut the heavily injured Thunder Goblin Bat into 2 halves. Yu Yang extended his hand and borrowed the force of the Bloody Queen's pull. He extended his leg and kicked the giant blade that had killed the Thunder Goblin Bat back. At the same time that Elder Tian Sa reached out his hand to receive the giant blade with a disdainful expression, Yu Yang and the Bloody Queen had instantly pounced in front of him. Yu Yang grabbed the giant blade tightly as he fought with Elder Tian Sa. On the other hand, the Bloody Queen stuck her head into Elder Tian Sua's ears and let out an extremely mournful banshee scream. Elder Tian Sa only felt that his mind was completely blank. Even with a strengthening-type beast protection, he still couldn't help but feel dizzy. When he struggled out of his dizziness, he suddenly saw a crazily spinning twin fish electric circular cut coming towards him. He couldn't help but widen his eyes in shock as he hurriedly tried to escape. Yu Yang snorted coldly, "It's too late. I'll send you to hell." Chapter 134. Yu Yang controlled the twin fish-shaped electric circle in his hands and spun crazily. It spiraled towards Elder Tian Sua's face. Apart from the electric circle, the sharp rotating force caused Elder Tian Sua to cry out miserably. He was in so much pain that he wished he were dead. His face was badly mutilated, fresh blood splashing everywhere. Elder Tian Sua was still struggling in pain from the paralysis. Suddenly, a flame whip ruthlessly lashed at the back of his head, causing him to stagger. This was the Bloody Queen's new skill. Do you think you could defeat me like this? Dream on. Elder Tian Sua's expression was malevolent. He madly sent the Bloody Queen who had launched a sneak attack flying as he roared sternly. Do you really think you can make a comeback? Yu Yang sneered. Yu Yang also whipped a flame whip towards Elder Tian Sua's face. When Elder Tian Sua shattered the flame whip in pain, Yu Yang's Hui Jin magic blade slashed towards him with purple flames. Elder Tian Sua had completely gone crazy. He had never met a young man who was better at fighting than him, and he had never experienced the predicament of being suppressed everywhere. The brat in front of him was extremely young, but his moves were so profound that it made people feel despair. Elder Tian Sua realized that just by exchanging blows with him, he, who was a grandmaster of battle techniques, actually did not have the ability to retaliate at all. Almost every single move of his had been beaten by his opponent until fallen flowers flowed like water. Elder Tian Sua's punches were very heavy, and every punch had the strength of a thunderbolt. Unfortunately, his punches were unable to hit Yu Yang. He wanted to brandish his large blade and behead the despicable brat in front of him, but who would have thought that Yu Yang would follow him like a shadow, not giving him any space to display his skills. Yu Yang's fists, kicks, elbows, and knees attacked him like raindrops. What made Elder Tian so the most furious was that every time he wanted to lift his leg to kick Yu Yang, he would immediately be knocked down by this brat. It could be seen that he was very good at throwing people. If one was not careful, he would lose control of the main point and lose his balance, causing him to fall heavily. Idiot, come here. Elder Tian Sua watched as the rock-skinned big idiot beast and the barbarian cow clashed against each other. Although the rock-skinned big idiot beast was 2 levels higher than the barbarian cow did not seem to be at a disadvantage. She was even able to use a relatively simple battle technique that was similar to a normal mercenary's to attack and defend. For a while, this battle of brute force against brute force would not have an outcome. However, Elder Tian Sua could not wait any longer. He needed time. At the very least, he needed a breather. He ordered the rock-skinned big idiot beast to abandon its opponent and surround Yu Yang. As long as this brat retreated, he would gain some space, and victory would be assured. 2 dragons vying for the pearl. Yu Yang suddenly used a move that even normal mercenaries would find useless. This move was too obvious, and it would have been better if he hadn't shouted it. When he used this move, he also shouted 2 dragons vying for the pearl. This was undoubtedly telling his opponent that he was going to stab his eyes. Elder Tian Sua laughed coldly in his heart. Just now, he had only been hit by the banshee's scream, which was why he had used the twin fish electric circular beheader. Usually, you want to hit my face? Dream on. Even a rookie wouldn't let others take a look at him, let alone a combat technique master like him. Elder Tian Sua's body leaned back slightly, dodging Yu Yang's 2 fingers that were about to pierce his eyes. At the same time, he opened his palm, blocking the incoming fingers. Yu Yang's index and middle fingers split apart, intending to pierce through Elder Tian Sua's fingers and pierce through his eyeballs. Elder Tian Sua's eyes were filled with ridicule. When his index and middle fingers passed through the gap between his fingers, he suddenly clasped his hands together, tightly clamping down on Yu Yang's fingers. Elder Tian Sua laughed coldly. I've been waiting for you for a long time, idiot. Yu Yang tried his best to extend his fingers and pierce through Elder Tian Sua's eyes, but his index and middle fingers were tightly clamped by Elder Tian Sua's fingers, and he was unable to move even an inch further. Break them for me, idiot. Elder Tian Sua saw that this brat was greedy and rash, and he was able to catch him. The idiot is you. Yu Yang laughed. His index and middle fingers let out 2 hissing sounds, and shot out 2 innate invisible sword chi. By the time Elder Tian Suo realized that something was wrong, it was already too late. Although Elder Tian Suo had closed his eyes, the 2 innate invisible sword chi still easily destroyed his eyes. Blood splattered everywhere, and Elder Tian Suo howled crazily. Relying on his instincts, he punched out with all his might, forcing Yu Yang to retreat. He knew fear now and rolled around on the ground crazily. Without waiting for Yu Yang and the Bloody Queen to reach him, he jumped up again, endured the pain, and summoned his platinum grimoire. Drop by drop, the blood from his eyes dripped onto the platinum grimoire. Elder Tian Suo desperately used the last of his spiritual energy to summon his guardian beast. Out of Yu Yang's expectations, Elder Tian Suo's guardian beast was actually a swarthy black iron thread snake. Its level was not high, but it was only bronze-ranked level 5. After the strengthening type iron thread snake was summoned, it immediately fused with Elder Tian Suo's body. Because its level was not high, its power was limited. However, Elder Tian Suo could only use the snake-type beast's special heat sense to replace his eyes. Innate invisible sword chi. Only innate invisible sword chi can injure me. You, how could you be an innate ranker? Who is your master? Who taught you innate skills? Elder Tian Suo roared in grief and indignation. He knew that he had fallen into a trap. This brat did not simply have a Gold King beast. He had also learned innate skills and knew how to release innate invisible sword chi that could break through all defenses. Previously, when he had blinded the Oxhead warrior, he should have been alerted, but he had concealed it too well. Furthermore, he had never thought that this brat was already an innate ranker at such a young age. He remembered that half a year ago, the Dixia Kingdom had given birth to the 7th innate ranker. The whole nation was shocked. At that time, sect leader Ming Xin of the Northern Moon Fairy Pavilion had said that this hidden innate ranker was very young. So she was talking about this brat in front of her. He had been too careless. He had actually sent his strongest beast, the white python, to attack the eagle-eyed Xia Huilai. If he had the protection of the silver-ranked level 8 white python, he would not have been in such a difficult situation. In this battle, he had fallen into the enemy's traps again and again. He had been too careless. This brat had shouted 2 dragons vying for the pearl to remind him to cooperate with him. Then, he would use his innate invisible sword chi to launch a sneak attack when he was at his weakest. If not, he would not have used his innate invisible sword chi to blind his eyes. Kill this rock-skinned big idiot beast as well. Yu Yang did not care about Elder Tian Suo. With a command, the Bloody Queen immediately released the second wave of Banshee Scream on top of the rock-skinned big idiot beast's head. Yu Yang released his innate invisible sword chi again and pierced through the rock-skinned big idiot beast's forehead, creating a bloody hole on its rock-hard head. However, the rock-skinned big idiot beast's head was really big. It did not seem to have suffered any fatal injuries even after being hit by the innate invisible sword chi. Fresh blood and brain matter flowed out. However, not only did the rock-skinned big idiot beast not die, it was still waving its giant club and smashing randomly. Little Wenli transformed into a rainbow light and floated out. Her dual icicle blades slashed at the rock-skinned big idiot beast's legs, sealing its legs in ice. The rock-skinned big idiot beast fell to the ground with a loud thud. The Bloody Queen kept stabbing its body with her dragon-slaying dagger. However, to the big idiot beast with its thick skin and flesh, the effect wasn't that great. The Bloody Queen could only add more bloody holes on its body. It was impossible for her to kill it instantly. Yu Yang took out the giant hammer that he had obtained from the golden armored puppet, and together with the barbarian Cow Shadow, beat the big idiot beast mercilessly. As the big idiot beast struggled to get up, a golden arrow accurately pierced into the bloody hole on its forehead. This was actually one of Yu Yang's plans as well. He knew that his innate sword chi wouldn't be able to instantly kill the stupid beast, which didn't even need to think, so he thought of a way to counter it. Use stone element Medusa to petrify the opponent. The brain was not afraid of thorns, But was it not afraid of petrification? As long as that head was turned into stone, would this guy still be able to move? Along with the golden arrow, the big stupid beast's entire head really turned into stone. However, under the dumbstruck gaze of Yu Yang, the big stupid beast slowly stood up again. Little Wen Li's expression was filled with disdain. With a slash of her dual icicle blades, the petrified head was sent flying a few meters away. The barbaric house shadow wielded her dual icicle blades and slashed heavily. With a burst of brute force, the petrified head was split into two halves. After being petrified, the big stupid beast's head had turned into a stone head. However, the big stupid beast still didn't fall. Its headless body was still able to slowly wriggle. If it wasn't for Little Wen Li's dual icicle blades, who knew how long it would take for it to truly die? The headless big stupid beast, whose entire body was covered in frost, fell to the ground with a loud thud. Yu Yang was afraid that it wouldn't die completely, so he ruthlessly broke its four limbs. He definitely wouldn't give this tenacious guy any chance to revive. That was close. Yu Yang stretched out his hand and patted his chest. Looks like his understanding of beasts was still too little. If it wasn't for Elder Tian Sua being blind, he wouldn't have been able to kill this big stupid beast that didn't need a brain to move. Golden sacred beetle. Ha! I didn't think that this would fall into my hands. Heaven never bars one's way, that's right. Elder Tian Sua had unknowingly picked up the white jade beetle that had fallen out of Yu Yang's backpack. He was currently crazily absorbing the pure energy inside, using it to heal his own injuries. Yu Yang cried out in his heart. This time, things had gotten out of hand. What he was afraid of was not the blind Elder Tian Sua, but the terrifying demon sealed inside the white jade beetle. If there really was a sealed demon like the old lady doctor had said, then it would be over. A peak-level demon might even be stronger than a demon king. He really couldn't imagine how strong it was. If he let it break out of the seal, the consequences would be unimaginable. I'm going to faint. When Yu Yang saw this, the thing that he was afraid of had happened. The white jade beetle's body glowed with a white light, and the injuries on Elder Tian Sua's body quickly healed. Even his blinded eyes were slowly recovering. However, in the sky where the white light was the brightest, there was an extremely mysterious golden runic circle that was currently revolving. It gradually dimmed, and a terrifying dark golden specter was currently crawling out of it with all its might. Every step it crawled seemed to be incomparably difficult. The golden light emitted by the runic circle quickly melted his figure. At the same time, the white light was also continuously purifying the dark golden specter's shadow body. The dark golden specter seemed as if it didn't care about its life anymore and insisted on crawling out. Even the lower half of its body that was deeply stuck in the runic circle was forcefully cut open. It gave up on the lower half of its body and let the upper half of its body escape. If Elder Tian Sua saw such a terrifying specter crawling out of the runic circle, he might have stopped. However, his eyes were blind, and he couldn't see anything at all. Furthermore, Elder Tian Sua was anxious to heal his eyes and fight to the death with Yu Yang. He had already gone crazy, and he had already thrown caution to the wind. He would never have thought that his actions would coincidentally open the gates of hell and release an unimaginably powerful demon. The light on the white jade beetle's body was like fire melting snow, and it quickly melted the dark golden specter's body. When the dark golden specter's upper half struggled to crawl out of the golden runic circle, its lower half had already been completely melted and was completely destroyed. At first, Yu Yang still planned to rush forward and use his innate sword chi to destroy it. However, Little Wen Li had a solemn expression on her face. Her small hands pulled on the corner of his clothes, telling him to stay behind and wait for the final result. Her small body moved lightly and blocked in front of Yu Yang. She had the serious look of an obedient daughter who wanted to step forward to protect her father. Elder Tian Sua finally felt danger, but he didn't know where it came from. His entire body trembled. In front of the dark golden specter, he discovered that he had become a weak little insect. He was so frightened that he knelt down and threw away the white jade beetle in shock. His body turned around randomly, and he once again raised his large blade and brandished it crazily. Are you the one who's playing tricks? What exactly happened? Elder Tion Su roared loudly in fear. On top of his head, the dark golden specter silently floated down, preparing to seize his body. Chapter 135. Elder Tion Su suddenly sensed that the danger that he couldn't reach with his beast's heat was coming from above his head. He roared loudly and gathered all the strength in his body. Under the support of the lightning-type beast, the large blade flashed with electricity like a thunderbolt. With a crackling sound, countless electric arcs scattered in all directions. Elder Tion Su didn't care whether it was Yu Yang, the Bloody Queen, or other beasts that were attacking him from the sky. In short, he was prepared to perish together with his opponent. One slash tore the heavens and split the earth. There is no such thing as an enemy. When Yu Yang saw this, he couldn't help but sigh in admiration. If one were to say that Elder Tion Su was a trash among trash, Yu Yang would definitely agree. However, if one were to say that Elder Tion Su's combat skills were trash, Yu Yang wouldn't dare to look down on him. This Elder Tion Su would definitely have the strongest combat skills out of all the enemies he had seen. If it wasn't for the Big Loli's special training in the Dream Realm, Yu Yang wouldn't be able to deal with him as easily as he did now. Elder Tion Su's combat skills, compared to the Big Loli's, were like riding an ox cart and driving a Ferrari. Although they both used wheels to walk, they were not on the same level. Hence, Yu Yang, who was beaten senseless by the Big Loli in the Dream Realm, could still deal with Elder Tion Su easily. Of course, if it was Yu Yang who received this slash, he would definitely not take it head-on. However, the Dark Golden Spectre completely ignored it. The lightning-fast saber radiance slashed at his illusory body. The Dark Golden Spectre's body that had its lower body melted by the golden rune array merely paused for a moment before it managed to block the saber. The final slash that could tear the heavens and split the earth landed on the Dark Golden Spectre's body, but it was like a clay ox entering the sea. It had no effect at all. Yu Yang's heart thumped wildly as he watched. His hair stood on end. This was too terrifying. Elder Tion Su's powerful attack was actually useless. That golden rune circle could easily melt the Dark Golden Spectre's body. If they were to compare, wasn't the difference too great? The ranker who created the golden rune circle, what kind of ranker was he? The golden rune pattern had been sealed for such a long time, yet it still had such power. It was really hard to imagine. The Dark Golden Spectre made its move. With a casual strike, Elder Tion Su was like a small boat that had crashed into an iceberg. He was incomparably weak, and his entire body flew backwards, falling heavily onto the ground. The Dark Golden Spectre that only had half of its body left, but its strength was still extremely terrifying. It slowly floated down, and it was unknown what it had summoned, but it cast it onto Elder Tion Su's body. Elder Tion Su's entire body floated up, but he could not move his body at all, and was at the mercy of the Dark Golden Spectre. Yu Yang saw that the Dark Golden Spectre had reached out its hand and pulled out the two strengthening-type beasts from Elder Tion Su's body. With a flash of black light, the two strengthening-type beasts died instantly. With two bangs, the two strengthening-type beasts didn't even have time to return to their original bodies before they exploded into two piles of badly mutilated corpses. As for Elder Tion Su's guardian beast, the Dark Golden Spectre didn't seem to be able to be drawn out, so he didn't try again. Perhaps he felt that such a low-level beast wasn't a threat at all. He used one hand to choke Elder Tion Su's throat, while his other hand reached deep into Elder Tion Su's mouth. No one knew what he was trying to do. Could it be that he wanted to seize Elder Tion Su's body and be reborn? If this fellow seized Elder Tion Su's body and was reborn, how much of his battle power would he be able to recover? How was he going to fight next? This was a completely unfamiliar enemy with unknown abilities. Furthermore, it was a sealed peak ranker. In this battle, Yu Yang also felt that his scalp was a little numb. However, Another kind of man's unyielding fighting spirit started to burn from the bottom of his heart. Yu Yang had always longed for an extremely strong enemy for him to challenge and defeat. Even though he had defeated warriors like Rock Face, Wu Yi, and Xiehua, Yu Yang didn't feel satisfied, nor did he feel any sense of accomplishment. He felt that he should step on stronger enemies under his feet. His original target was the Demon King. However, from the looks of it now, the Dark Golden Spectre in front of him might not be weaker than the Demon King. Fortunately, he still didn't have a body. Otherwise, he wouldn't even need to fight this battle. Yu Yang thought in his heart, should he seize the opportunity when the Dark Golden Spectre seized Elder Tian Sua's body and use his level 3 Divine Vision to see through this fellow's weakness? Yu Yang was just about to summon his Divine Grimoire and raise a protective shield to defend himself. Then, he would think of a way to deal with this Dark Golden Spectre that had been sealed for who knows how many years. However, before he could raise his hand, he suddenly felt sleepy and couldn't help but yawn. Why would he feel sleepy? Yu Yang felt that something was wrong. He raised his eyes to look at the Dark Golden Spectre and discovered that this fellow's demonic eyes were like stars, shining brightly. In an instant, it was as if there was a boat singing a fisherman's song in the evening, propping up the night sky. It was also like a gentle breeze, gently brushing past the willow trees, intoxicating the passers-by who were taking a stroll on the shore. The last thing Yu Yang felt was that there seemed to be an alluring voice calling out to him from the bottom of his heart to move forward. In his hazy state, he couldn't help but want to move forward, wholeheartedly searching for that strange voice that sounded in his heart. Chi. Little Wenli discovered that something was amiss. Her white orchid-like hand instantly emitted thousands of rays of light, enveloping Yu Yang. On Yu Yang's body, there was something that couldn't be seen. It struggled very slightly and hissed. However, Little Wenli increased the power of the light's purification, causing it to quickly melt and disappear without a trace. Although the strange demon that had sneakily attacked Yu Yang had been purified and killed by Little Wenli, Yu Yang still fell to the ground with a dong sound. His mind was clear. However, his body seemed to have been hypnotized, completely unable to move. His eyes couldn't see anything. In the endless darkness, he could only sense that Little Wenli was trying to save him. She seemed to be using her energy to purify his body. The strange thing was, Yu Yang realized that his body was normal. His innate qi flowed smoothly in every meridian in his body. The thing that had made him sleepy after the sneak attack had already been expelled. However, he still couldn't open his eyes and couldn't wake up normally. Yu Yang was extremely anxious. He could be 100% sure that this was the doing of that Dark Golden Spectre. Although he didn't know when he made his move, and didn't know what method he used, he was sure that he had been tricked. What kind of beast could hypnotize him without making a sound? How come even Little Wenli couldn't sense it? Yu Yang felt very strange. This feeling was almost the same as when he entered a dream. The only difference was that he could control the dream world at will, but he couldn't do anything now. What did he have to do to wake up? Could he enter the dream world in this uncontrollable space and come out from the dream world again? Yu Yang's thoughts spun like lightning as he thought of a way to break out of it. Compared to Yu Yang, the powerful elder Tiansu was in an even more miserable state now. He was like a small worm, held in the hands of the Dark Golden Spectre that had lost half of its body. Originally, the Dark Golden Spectre wanted to tear Elder Tian Sua into pieces. However, when it saw that Little Wenli had summoned her Diamond Grimoire to protect Yu Yang, its expression changed. It quickly stopped and put the pitiful Elder Tian Sua down. It then stretched out its shadow-like hand and penetrated Elder Tian Sua's head, as if it wanted to search his memories. The Dark Golden Spectre seemed to be more and more surprised. It didn't have a mouth, but through the resonance of the air, it strangely spoke. Such a young, innate rancor? This is really strange. Little snake demon, your master only has a silver grimoire. You are his guardian beast. How could you have a higher diamond grimoire than him? This is really difficult. It has only been 1,000 years. How could everything be messed up? If I look carefully, the three of you are actually different guardian beasts. This is really unbelievable. This brat is really strange. I should have summoned his soul back. How could it fail? I have never encountered such a situation before. Could it be that such a young human brat could fight against me in terms of willpower? Could it be that the human race had completely revived? What actually happened in these years that I was in deep sleep? The dark golden specter looked very surprised as it muttered to itself and shook its head continuously. It seemed to be very distressed. It couldn't understand the various mysterious phenomena that happened to Yu Yang. In the end, the dark golden specter shook its head. Forget it. Let's not think about it anymore. We should first heal our body and quickly kill this dangerous brat. It's too dangerous. Such a young innate rancor. If we let you grow, what would happen? Half of its body slowly fused with Elder Tian Sua's body. If Yu Yang was awake, he would be able to see that Elder Tian Sua was not dead yet. Elder Tian Sua was still awake. Elder Tian Sua was not dead, but his body was completely controlled by someone else. His entire body was occupied, taken over and controlled by the dark golden specter. The only thing that remained was his face. That face was filled with shock, fear, despair, helplessness. Countless expressions were squeezed together, forming a creepy expression that would make people's hair stand on end. Yu Yang couldn't hear the dark golden specter's words now, nor could he see Elder Tian Sua's expression. He was still struggling with all his might, trying to break free from his dream. Even if his opponent was a peak rancor, he couldn't just resign himself to death like this, right? Wake up. Fight him to the death. Yu Yang shouted from the bottom of his heart. Quickly wake up. Fight, fight. I definitely can't let my enemy kill me so easily while I'm asleep. Wake up and fight. Kill him. No matter if he's a peak rancor or someone else, I must kill him. Wake up. As if they could feel the screams in Yu Yang's heart, the bloody queen and the barbarian cow shadow resisted the dark golden specter's terrifying pressure. Instead of retreating, their fighting spirit exploded as they protected him by his side. Yu Yang's innate qi circulated crazily in his body. Every time it circulated, he would regain control of his body. His consciousness and senses towards his body would also become stronger. Little Winley suddenly turned into a ray of rainbow light and disappeared. A guardian beast can also betray you? No, this is impossible. The dark golden specter that had melted into Elder Tian Sua's body and was preparing to fuse with Elder Tian Sua cried out repeatedly. Yu Yang's eyelids were blinking. He felt that he was about to wake up. His entire soul was burning and shouting. A power that he had never felt before exploded. The dark golden specter's face distorted, as if it was incomparably angry that Yu Yang could resist its will, reverse the situation, and regain control of his body. A small human could actually fight against it. Suddenly, a ray of rainbow light soared into the sky. In front of Yu Yang, a grimoire that was sparkling and translucent like a crystal appeared, shining brilliantly. The rainbow light spread outside Yu Yang's body, forming a unique rainbow energy shield. Countless rainbows revolved around him, and a gigantic golden halo expanded outwards. Its power was as cold as the scorching sun, and its light was as bright as the moon. In an instant, the entire dual space was illuminated. When the dark golden specter saw this, it immediately jumped in fright and roared in despair. What the hell? It's actually a divine grimoire. Damn it. How could it be a divine grimoire? How could he have two grimoires? No, it's impossible for him to have a divine grimoire. Ah! A gigantic pillar of fire soared into the sky from the divine grimoire. It rotated without stopping and spread out at an extremely fast speed. In an instant, there was only one thing left in the entire dual space, and that was flames. Flames that could burn the heavens. The bloody queen and the barbarian cow shadow's bodies continued to change, reconstruct, and evolve in the midst of this pure and powerful raging flame. On the other side, the dark golden specter that was anxiously trying to crawl out of Elder Tian Sua's body and escape back to the white jade beetle once again summoned a black shield in despair. However, in this kind of pure raging flame, the black shield was as powerless as smoke. It was instantly shattered and completely burned and purified by the flame. It was as if there was a pair of incomparably beautiful creatures circling around each other in the raging flame. In the dual space, the power of the flame immediately increased by 10 times, 100 times. It was like the legendary Nirvana flame, which could burn anything. It could barely hold on for 3 seconds. The originally incomparably powerful dark golden specter's body was completely purified in despair. In the end, only a soul body that was burning continuously was left, struggling in pain. Before the pair of mysterious creatures flew into the divine grimoire, they resonated with each other and let out 2 clear sounds that sounded like the sounds of nature. Just as the sounds of nature rang out, the burning soul body seemed to have reached its limit. Like a bubble bursting, it burst with a bang, turning into thousands of rays of light and dissipating. Even the soul was completely annihilated and disappeared. What was left was a transparent pearl that fell to the ground. Other than that, there was nothing left. Yu Yang shouted loudly. His entire body soared into the sky, like a dragon soaring through the heavens as he spun down proudly. He had broken through the shackles of his soul in one fell swoop and successfully regained control of his body. It was only at this moment that he felt that he had truly controlled his own life. Only in adversity would one be enlightened. Breaking through difficulties would one be victorious. When Yu Yang regained his senses from the wonderful feeling of being in complete control of his own life, he looked at the situation in front of him. His jaw almost dropped to the ground. How is it over? I haven't even started fighting yet. Who did this? Chapter 136. The entire battle had ended. The dark golden specter that was so strong that it made people tremble no longer existed. As for Elder Tian Saw, whose body appeared to be completely unharmed on the surface, he had also been soundlessly turned into ashes by the wind that Yu Yang had brought with him when he leapt into the air, disappearing without a trace. Yu Yang was dumbfounded. Who did this? How could the dark golden specter and Elder Tian Sua be killed in one move? Before Yu Yang regained his body and regained consciousness, he could vaguely feel that it was the life form that flew out from the divine grimoire. However, he didn't know what it was. He remembered that this life form had appeared when he first contracted with it, and when he first reached the innate realm. However, Yu Yang didn't know what it was. He could only vaguely remember that its cry was even more melodious than a heavenly bird's cry. So it was inside his body. Was it the compensation from the old Taoist priest for kicking him? Or was it like how the heavenly sword goddess used her sword chi to transform into a big lowly? Countless thoughts flashed through his mind, but Yu Yang couldn't understand a single one of them. He only knew that the powerful Elder Tian Sual and the even more powerful Dark Golden Spectre were instantly killed by that life form in one move. As expected of a product from the Divine Grimoire. One word, it was arrogant. Yu Yang was a little regretful that he couldn't open the Divine Grimoire yet. Otherwise, he would be able to run amok like a crab in the Celestial Empire, catching whoever he saw. The Bloody Queen and the Barbarian Cow Shadow were both evolving, but Yu Yang didn't care about them right now. He only wanted to find little Wen Li. His precious darling was missing. He couldn't let anything happen to her. Yu Yang looked left and right and saw that little Wen Li wasn't there. He panicked and shouted, "Little Lowly, come out quickly. Where are you? Don't scare me." Just when Yu Yang thought that little one, Li had been injured by the Dark Golden Spectre and was heartbroken, he suddenly saw a rainbow light floating out from the Divine Grimoire. A familiar fragrance assaulted his nostrils. A small body threw itself into Yu Yang's arms like a swallow returning to the forest, and 6 small hands hugged his head tightly. A smile blossomed on that pink and tender little face. It was as if the sun was shining through the window, filling one's heart. In an instant, everything in the world was overshadowed by it. Yu Yang took a closer look. Isn't this my precious darling? He was so happy that he hurriedly leaned forward and kissed her fiercely. Then, he lifted the little darling up and let out a carefree cheer. Strange Uncle was scared to death. Luckily, Nothing happened to you. And little Winley nodded cutely and blinked her big eyes. She saw that Yu Yang was worried about her and was happy to see that she was fine. She couldn't help but feel very touched. She couldn't help hugging him tightly and kissed him a few times. Then she let out a bell-like laughter. Yu Yang tossed her high into the air and caught her again. He teased the Lamia lowly until her body softened with laughter. Only then did he put her down gently. The bloody queen, who had completed her evolution and was naked, was extremely jealous. It wasn't easy for her to evolve once. Furthermore, she was completely naked, but she was actually ignored by him. This was a huge blow to her. Fortunately, she didn't know how to speak the soaring dragon continent's language. Otherwise, she would have scolded him for being a Lelicon. As long as its master didn't die, a guardian beast would never truly die. What was there for him to be nervous about? Moreover, how could the Lamia lowly be hurt? The bloody queen had a headache. Having a master like this made her feel dizzy. When the bloody queen saw that Yu Yang and little Wanli had finished fooling around, she immediately pretended to say, "I've just finished evolving. Come and pay attention to me." Who knew that Yu Yang's gaze had directly skipped over her and landed on the barbarian cow shadow? If the bloody queen had a stick, she would definitely smash it on Yu Yang's head. Could it be that in his eyes, a beauty couldn't compare to a cow? The barbarian cow shadow was indeed a female barbarian cow in the past, but her current appearance didn't really look like a cow anymore. The barbarian cow shadow, who had obtained the mysterious energy from the pure raging flame, had continuously reconstructed her body and evolved to perfection. She had benefited much more than the Bloody Queen. The Bloody Queen originally had a foundation, but she had only recovered to gold-ranked level 5 with the help of the mysterious energy. However, the barbarian cow shadow had evolved from bronze-ranked level 5 to silver-ranked level 5. The barbarian cow shadow was originally bronze-ranked level 5. Even if she had successfully evolved, she would only be silver-ranked level 4. However, she had evolved, leveled up, and reconstructed her body at the same time. Yu Yang realized that after the barbarian cow shadow had reconstructed her body, she had changed a lot. She was originally 3 meters tall, but she had shrunk a little. Her gigantic body had also lost its terrifying muscles, becoming taller and longer. Her current appearance was 100 times better than before. Her horns were no longer coarse, but had become extremely smooth. Furthermore, the lines were more refined and sharper, forming a beautiful killing weapon. Her originally coarse female face had also become more refined. Although her facial features hadn't reached the standard of a beauty, she wasn't ugly at all. Instead, she looked a little like a powerful female warrior. The red light in her pair of blood-red eyes gradually faded, revealing the whites of her eyes that were closer to a human's. Her pupils were still blood-red, and her energy had become more abundant. Yu Yang reckoned that the power of her Dune's eyes had increased instead of decreasing. The ox head armor on his body had completely changed. The current barbarian cow shadow didn't look like she had merged with the barbarian cow anymore. She looked more like a giant female warrior wearing the barbarian cow armor. Her muscles were still bulging, and her explosive power was boundless, but her skin had become smooth and soft. Her figure had become more like a woman's. She no longer had a bear's waist and tiger's back, but had a slight curve. Of course, every part of the barbarian cow shadow was one size higher than a normal woman. No matter if it was her chest, waist, buttocks, or legs, they all looked like a female giant. It was just that she already looked like a woman. This made Yu Yang feel very gratified. He originally didn't expect the barbarian cow shadow to become a beautiful woman. Being able to become like this was already a pleasant surprise. Maybe if she evolved one more time, she would become a great beauty. Yup, I've decided. I'll call you on man from now on. Yu Yang officially gave the barbarian cow shadow a name. He had called her this name before, but now he had officially decided on it. Seeing this, the Bloody Queen felt even more sour in her heart. It wasn't easy for this fellow to come up with a name. Out of so many beasts, only Little One Li and Hui Tai Lang had names. Now that the barbarian cow shadow also had an official name, she, a Gold King beast, didn't have one. This was really too much of a failure. Why aren't you wearing any clothes? Yu Yang finally saw her by accident and asked curiously. The Bloody Queen almost fainted. She thought to herself, "You only saw me now? It's already been half a day. If this was a world of ice and snow, I'm afraid I would have already frozen to death. This is also not bad." I mean your body is not bad. I didn't see anything. You should wear your clothes first." Yu Yang saw the Bloody Queen, who was covering her chest with one hand and her lower body with the other, and swallowed his saliva. If it wasn't for little Wenli being beside him, he wouldn't be able to control himself and push this girl down. It was too tempting. Her snow-white body, her jade peaks that couldn't be covered, and the luxuriant, fragrant grass that mischievously escaped from the gaps of his fingers. With the mentality of not teaching bad things to little children, Yu Yang suppressed his wolfish heart with great difficulty. Seeing this, the Bloody Queen was secretly pleased. In order to take revenge on Yu Yang for ignoring her just now, when she was wearing her clothes, she purposely exaggerated her movements. She also slowed down from time to time, pretending to be unintentional and revealing a little bit of her body. This caused Yu Yang's wolfish heart to be aroused. His eyes, which were originally pretending to be serious and looking straight ahead, almost cramped because of the excessive movements. The Bloody Queen coughed lightly. Yu Yang hurriedly pretended not to see anything and ran out to pick up the remaining transparent pearl that the dark golden specter left behind after its death. With his divine vision, he found something strange. At first, Yu Yang thought that the dark golden specter wasn't completely dead and was hiding inside the pearl. He didn't expect that with his divine vision, there was no remnant of a soul inside the pearl at all. There was only an indescribable, mysterious energy. This energy didn't have any life force. It was a kind of static existence that was close to extinction. What was the use of this thing? Yu Yang didn't understand at all. He suddenly remembered that he was hypnotized by the dark golden specter, and his soul was almost captured by it. He was secretly shocked. Could it be because of this pearl? After thinking for a long time, Yu Yang finally made a decision to test it out. He held the Hui Jin magic blade in his hand and used this pearl to slowly approach the molten flame core and the demon dragon's crystal. In the end, this pearl made the entire Hui Jin magic blade tremble, as if it had seen a terrifying monster. On the contrary, the golden beast that had transformed into a wrist guard and was currently digesting the giant frost dragon's crystal greedily extended its metal arm, as if it wanted to swallow this pearl as well. In your dreams, if you don't participate in the battle, you won't get a share of the good stuff. Yu Yang naturally wouldn't let the golden beast swallow this pearl for nothing. If he couldn't understand it, he would keep it first. There was no fear of having too many treasures. He would first store it in his lich ring and slowly study it. He then picked up the white jade beetle. Now it had changed again. On its originally sparkling and translucent back, there was an additional golden runic circle. It was exactly the same as the one Yu Yang had seen before, except this time, it was imprinted on the white jade beetle's back. Other than the pure energy, Yu Yang also discovered that there was a kind of deep condensed demonic energy crystal inside the white jade beetle's body. He reckoned that this was the energy of the dark golden specter's severed half of its body. After losing its master's control, it had crystallized. Yu Yang felt that if he took out this demon crystal and poured it into Hui Tai Lang's body, Hui Tai Lang would be really awesome. It might even evolve into a Cerberus or even a demon king-ranked demon wolf. Of course, because of the golden runic circle seal, Yu Yang could only fantasize about it for the time being. Yu Yang placed the white jade beetle back in his backpack. He was still a little curious. He had clearly carefully placed this thing in a small pocket at the bottom of his backpack. Nothing had fallen out of his backpack, and there was no hole in it. How did it end up in Elder Tian Sua's hands? Could it be that it was the dark golden specter's doing? Or could it be that this white jade beetle, which looked lazy and not very active on the surface, was actually a mischievous person who especially liked to cause trouble during battles? Hey, I'm warning you. Don't cause trouble for me anymore. Otherwise, I'll fry you and use you to eat with wine. Yu Yang couldn't understand what was going on, and he didn't care whether the white jade beetle could understand him or not. He just gave a warning. The way he talked to the beetle made the bloody queen roll her eyes. However, she also felt a little strange in her heart. She didn't see how the white jade beetle had fallen out. Normally, with her senses, she would be able to see any movement within 100 meters as if she had seen it with her own eyes. However, when the white jade beetle fell out and was picked up by Elder Tian Saw, she didn't notice it at all. This was really an unsolved mystery. When Yu Yang had finished packing everything, he slept in the dimension of Duel for more than 10 minutes. Finally, the 1-hour time limit was up. The dimension of Duel's law forcefully teleported Yu Yang away, allowing him to return to the teleportation point. Before Yu Yang could stand firmly, he suddenly saw an unbelievable scene happening in front of his eyes. The Xia Empire's Imperial Guards commander Feng Kuang, the eagle-eyed man whose entire body was drenched in blood, and 2 generals that Yu Yang didn't recognize. The 4 of them took turns to attack Elder Tian Suo from all sides. Wasn't Elder Tian Suo already burnt to ashes? How could he still be alive? Yu Yang's jaw almost dropped to the ground again. Chapter 137. Yu Yang's sudden appearance had a huge impact on the entire battle. Eagle-eyed Xia Houwei Lai, who was preparing to unleash his ultimate skill and fight to the death with Elder Tian Suo, saw Yu Yang's appearance and immediately flew over in surprise. "You're all right? Why are there 2 Elder Tian Suos?" Yu Yang pointed at Elder Tian Suo, who was being pushed back by the 1,000 withering bones Feng Kuang's heavy halberd. "What?" Hearing this, eagle-eyed Xia Houwei Lai's face immediately revealed astonishment and shock. He hurriedly shouted, "General Feng Kuang, wait a minute, something's wrong." He first raised his sword and stood beside Yu Yang to protect him, then hurriedly asked, "What did you say? 2 Elder Tian Suos? Explain it clearly." "There's indeed another Elder Tian Suo, but that Elder Tian Suo is already dead. Is this person's twin brother?" Yu Yang was absolutely sure that the Elder Tian Suo in the dimension of Duel was dead beyond dead. Not only was his body taken over by the Dark Old Inspector, he was also instantly killed by the mysterious life form in the Divine Grimoire, turning his body into ashes. Furthermore, if the Elder Tian Suo who fought with him didn't die, he wouldn't be able to come out from the dimension of Duel. "Is what you said true?" Eagle-eyed Xia Houwei Lai shouted at Feng Kuang. "Hurry up and see His Majesty, the State Grandmaster, and the 2 Heavenly Imperial Guardians. This is suspicious. I've said it before, someone is impersonating." Elder Tian Suo flew in front of Yu Yang and loudly defended himself. "Before you are cleared of suspicion, you better stay away from the only eyewitness. If you dare to make a move on him, then His Majesty will continue with the previous imperial decree and declare war on your floating mist sect." The eagle-eyed Xia Houwei Lai glared at Elder Tian Suo angrily as he stood in front of Yu Yang to protect him. "All right, as long as you don't attack me, I won't attack you. I received orders from sect leader Bai Yun to come and save people. Why would I purposely kill someone? I do have a grudge against General Dao Feng, but I definitely wouldn't kill him just because of that. Furthermore, I wouldn't kill someone so brazenly. I represent the entire floating mist sect. Why would I start a massacre in your medical center? This is a misunderstanding. Someone is impersonating me. Although I don't know who it is, I'm definitely not the one who injured General Dao Feng and Granny Feng. I'm guessing that someone is impersonating me in order to sow discord between our floating mist sect and the Xia kingdom." Elder Tian Suo threw down the long blade in his hand, indicating that this matter was just a misunderstanding and that he was not willing to continue fighting. "You're Yu Chio's son. Tell me, what happened?" Feng Kuang had seen Yu Yang before in the Yu clan castle. Right now, he only believed what Yu Yang had said. With regard to Elder Tian Suo, if it wasn't for the fact that the State Grandmaster had advised Jun Wuyu to temporarily withdraw his declaration of war, Feng Kuang would have mobilized all the experts in Shangjing to surround and kill Elder Tian Suo. Even if he was an elder of the Floating Mist sect, he would not be so arrogant as to start a massacre in the Imperial Army's medical center. What's more, they were going to kill all the heroes who had sacrificed for the country, as well as General Dao Feng, an important minister of the country. When he first received this warning, Jun Wu Yu was enraged and almost wanted to personally kill Elder Tian Sa. At the same time, he issued an order to declare war and was prepared to personally bring the two heavenly Imperial Guardians to the Floating Mist sect. Luckily, the state Grandmaster persuaded him and changed the order to capture Elder Tian Sa to investigate the whole matter. However, the eagle-eyed Xia Houwei Lai thought that Yu Yang, the new student with the most potential, had been killed by Elder Tian Sa. Thus, he kept attacking crazily, intending to kill Elder Tian Sa with his sword and take revenge for Yu Yang. Who would have thought that in the middle of the battle, Yu Yang would suddenly appear and even say that there were two Elder Tian Sas? Yu Yang had never been protected like this before. Eagle-eyed Xiahou Wei Lai was in front, Feng Kuang was on the right, and the other two generals had also arrived. One on the left and one on the back. They surrounded Yu Yang in the middle. Everyone was waiting for him to say the final answer. What exactly was going on? It's like this. We came to hand over the medicine, but because we didn't have enough medicine, I even chatted with old General Dao Feng for a while. At this time, Elder Tian Sa came, and he was extremely arrogant. He used the golden drum to knock everyone unconscious. Before Yu Yang could finish speaking, Elder Tian Sa immediately denied it and shouted that he didn't do that. You didn't? The ground was filled with injured people, and their eardrums were ruptured. It was all you're doing. I was there at that time, and I saw it with my own eyes. Eagle-eyed Xiahou Wei Lai roared like a lion. I really didn't do that. It was done by the person who impersonated me. Elder Tian Sa hurriedly defended himself. Shut up. Let him speak first. Feng Kuang shouted loudly, then nodded towards Yu Yang, indicating for him to continue speaking. After that, Elder Tian Sa summoned a silver-ranked level 8 white python, which sent the teacher flying. He then summoned a fog monster, which enveloped the old lady doctor, preparing to suffocate her to death. He even summoned a silver-ranked level 6 oxhead warrior to attack me. Yu Yang's words caused Elder Tian Sa to roar madly. I already said it wasn't done by me. I don't have a silver-ranked level 8 white python, and I don't have an oxhead warrior either. It was done by the person who impersonated me. The guy might have used a special type beast to disguise himself as me. That definitely wasn't me. I'm sure that person didn't disguise himself, and he didn't have a special type beast that could transform. He looked exactly the same as you. Yu Yang also felt that it was strange. If there really was someone impersonating him, then this conspiracy would be huge. However, he could also be sure that the Elder Tian Sa in the dimension of duel did not disguise himself, but his real face. Feng Kuang signaled for Elder Tian Sa to stop defending himself and nodded towards Yu Yang. Now that we've confirmed that there are two Elder Tian Sas, what happened next? What happened next? Yu Yang naturally couldn't tell them everything that had happened in the dimension of duel. He hurriedly played down some of the minor details. I blinded the Oxhead warrior's eyes and let my two-headed demon wolf lure it down the valley. That Elder Tian Sa wanted to kill me, so I escaped to a very special place. He chased after me and even summoned a big idiot beast and a thunder goblin bat. I don't know what happened either, but when I fainted on the ground, Elder Tian Sa was suddenly killed by a strong warrior, and his body turned into ashes. After that, I came back here, killed in an instant. When Elder Tian Sa, Feng Kuang, and the others heard this, they were all dumbfounded. Even if it was an impersonator of Elder Tian Sa, he was still a strong warrior. He was able to stun everyone with a single attack, and he was even able to summon a silver-ranked level 8 white python. He was actually killed in an instant. When Yu Yang saw everyone's expressions, he hurriedly waved his hands. I don't know whether it was an instant kill or not, because I fainted at that time. When I opened my eyes, I discovered that Elder Tian Sa's body was completely fine. When I went up to take a look, he had actually turned into ashes, disintegrating with a single movement. The eagle-eyed Xiahou Wei Lai nodded in realization. No wonder when I was fighting the white python bitterly, the white python suddenly screamed and exploded. So its master had already died. However, Elder Tian Suo expressed his suspicions. If you say that you were knocked unconscious, I believe you. But if you say that the impersonator is already dead, what proof do you have? I suspect that there is no such person at all. You guys are the ones who purposely set this up to harm me and the Floating Mist sect. You were just a kid from an academy. How could you possibly survive an attack from an expert of our level? Yu Yang didn't bother to explain further and immediately took out the platinum grimoire from his backpack. This time, Elder Tian Suo couldn't say anything else. His expression became very ugly, and he cursed furiously. This is a method used by some sect to provoke us. A ranker who possesses a platinum grimoire would actually disguise himself as me and do such a thing. Look, my platinum grimoire is different from this one. This proves that I am not that person. Elder Tian Suo took out his platinum grimoire. However, Feng Kuang still shook his head and said, I don't suspect that you are that person now, but you are still suspicious. I am willing to go to His Majesty Jun Wu Yu and clarify everything before returning to the Floating Mist sect. I am definitely not the murderer. I am not afraid of being investigated and confronted. Although I have an old grudge with General Dao Feng, I do not have the intention to kill him. I do not care about what happened that year at all. Elder Tian Suo knew that if he returned to the Floating Mist sect now, he would not be able to clear his name. He hurriedly expressed that he was willing to be investigated, so that the relationship between the Floating Mist sect and the Xia Kingdom would not worsen. That person, is he really not your twin brother? Yu Yang confirmed once again. He did not disguise himself. He looks exactly the same as you. My brother died in battle 180 years ago. At that time, I was in the same army as General Dao Feng. The three of us have different appearances. At that time, my older brother and younger brother died in battle. Dao Feng and I managed to escape with our lives, but we had a dispute over the matter of rescuing them. I felt that we should not continue fighting and should preserve our strength so that we don't all die. Dao Feng, on the other hand, felt that we should fight to the death. At that time, I was afraid, and because I was sad that my brother had died in battle, I fought with General Dao Feng. In the end, we fell out. After that, I entered the Floating Mist sect as a disciple, and my strength increased greatly. At some point in time, I did indeed do many things that offended General Dao Feng. Although I have an old grudge against him, I definitely did not have the intention to kill him. Furthermore, I am representing the Floating Mist sect to rescue people. How could I start a massacre? That's impossible. As for my brother, it's even more impossible. Firstly, my brother died early. Secondly, they look different from me. Why did that impersonator look exactly the same as me? I also want to find out. A fellow who has a platinum grimoire but looks exactly like me. How could he impersonate me and do so many bad things? I also want to find out. General Feng Kuang, I hope that you can send someone to invite sect leader by Yun over. Ask him and His Majesty Jun Wu Yu to preside over this matter. This matter must be instigated by other powers. Because our relationship was originally not that good, we're the easiest target to instigate. Elder Tian Suo turned around and looked at Yu Yang. Suddenly, he nodded his head and said, I have to thank you for this matter. If you did not return, I would definitely be the scapegoat. Furthermore, the relationship between the Xia Empire and the Floating Mist sect might worsen to the extreme. I'm afraid that the insidious and sinister plot of the enemy hiding in the dark would have succeeded. You guys should get to the bottom of this matter. I've already said what I wanted to say. I'm still a kid. I don't know how to deal with the affairs of the country. It's better for me to obediently go back and study. Yu Yang did not want to be involved in the conspiracy between the sects and the country. What a joke. None of these fellows were easy to deal with. Killing a fake Elder Tian Suo had already used up all of his energy. If there was another real one, wouldn't that be asking for trouble? The eagle-eyed Xia Ho Wei Lai nodded his head in agreement with Yu Yang's words. In his heart, Yu Yang was a newcomer with the most potential in the future of the Xia Empire. He definitely could not let those old fogies from the Floating Mist sect fancy him. Otherwise, if they brought him up the mountain to train, there would be nothing left for the Xia Empire. To train, One did not necessarily have to go to the four great sects. As long as one had enough talent, he could become a strong warrior no matter where he trained. He thought for a while and quickly took out the silver-ranked level 8 white python magic crystal from his bosom and passed it to Yu Yang. I can't be here right now. You should return to the academy first. Don't be in a hurry to do quests. I suggest that you go and listen to Grandma Wu Teng's lessons. She has a lot of basic knowledge. If you're willing to learn medicine, I can invite Grandma Feng to the academy to be your teacher. Thank you, teacher. When Yu Yang saw that there was a silver-ranked level 8 magic crystal, he quickly pretended to be an obedient student. Woof! Hui Tai Lang also came over at this time, wagging its tail as it chewed on a silver-ranked level 6 Oxhead Warrior's magic crystal. Originally, it wanted to swallow it, but when it remembered Yu Yang's usual warnings, it hurriedly left it behind to please its master. Your performance is not bad. I'll reward you with a delicious meat bone tonight. Yu Yang was extremely happy. He had another magic crystal. Today was really a good day. Is he really Yu Chio's son? His looks, he does look a little like him, but his personality. Elder Tian So looked at Yu Yang's receding figure, as if he was very interested. Hey, you better take care of your own matters first. The eagle-eyed Xia Ho Wei Lai couldn't help but remind him that he was still a suspect. Looks like the Yu clan is really going to rise. Elder Tian So it didn't bother with him as he muttered. Chapter 138. When he returned to the academy, he found Fatty Hai, Yi Kong, and the Li brothers waiting for him with swollen faces. Even the students from the death class had not left yet. Seeing that Yu Yang had returned, the old cunning fox was the first to welcome him. Student Tai Tan, are you all right? The old cunning fox was most afraid of losing Yu Yang, the student with the most potential. Now that he had returned safe and sound, he was overjoyed. He asked softly, how's the situation? There are two elder Tian Suas. The matter is still under investigation. I'm not too sure. Of course, Yu Yang wouldn't tell him too much, so he just brushed it off. This matter seems a little fishy. The old cunning fox was very smart. He felt that there was something fishy about this matter. However, the old cunning fox didn't mention this matter. He turned around and praised Yu Yang's bravery and resourcefulness, not panicking in the face of danger. In the end, the old cunning fox even announced that every student would be rewarded with 10 gold coins. He even decided to treat everyone to a meal to calm their nerves. Immediately, the old cunning fox's extravagance made the death class students cheer. The students who didn't know Yu Yang, although they were curious, didn't come over to ask. The long-haired girl, Princess Qi Ming, and a few other children surrounded him. Especially Princess Bei Bei. She immediately jumped into Yu Yang's embrace and cried loudly. The situation of the battle was unclear. When the death class students woke up, they realized that they had already been sent back to the academy. Because Yu Yang was still missing, the old cunning fox had been waiting for news. Many people thought that Yu Yang had already died. Only Yi Kong and the others believed that Yu Yang would be able to return safely. For example, Princess Bei Bei, although she was excellent in her studies, she was still a child. She was afraid that would be hard for her to hold it in. When Yu Yang returned, she immediately cried. However, because Yu Yang's skill in coaxing little Lolis was really good, with just a few words, Princess Bei Bei was coaxed by Yu Yang again. I've already said that you would definitely return safely. Who are you? You're my young Master Hai's brother. With my young Master Hai's luck protecting you, it will be difficult for anything to happen to you. Fatty Hai shouted proudly. Yi Kong, on the other hand, didn't say a word. He only nodded at Yu Yang with a resolute gaze. Yu Bing had just found out about this and rushed over upon hearing the news. Her face was pale as a sheet as she threw herself into Yu Yang's arms and hugged her brother tightly. She was afraid that if she let go, her brother would disappear like smoke. Not only Yu Yang, but everyone else also tried to persuade him. In the end, Yu Bing looked at her brother again and again. Only when she found that her brother was fine did she relax. Yu Yang kept feeling that someone was watching him from a certain place, but with his ability, he couldn't sense where that person was hiding. Who was this person watching him in the dark? Could it be the drunken cat? Just as Yu Yang was about to use his divine vision to search around, the gaze that was watching him in the dark disappeared. It seemed that the person had noticed Yu Yang's actions earlier. Forget it, there's no evil intentions. Yu Yang was very surprised. This Ivy Academy was filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Not only was the old cunning fox and the drunken cat powerful, the person who was watching him in the dark was also an unfathomable rancor. As expected of an academy that had been passed down for over 3,000 years. It really had some foundation. Because of the incident with Elder Tian Suo, the death class didn't continue to train like before. Instead, they temporarily rested and moved around freely. Yu Bing wrote a letter to Yu Yang. It was sent by an An. Her handwriting was graceful. Although she purposely wrote it very big and some of the strokes were emphasized, it still couldn't hide the elegance of a woman's handwriting. In the letter, Inan said that she was undergoing her aunt's training and couldn't go to the academy for the time being. She would meet up with Yu Yang at a later time. Yu Yang felt a little regretful that Inan couldn't come. If he couldn't pick up girls while studying, he wouldn't be able to be lovey-dovey under the moonlight. That would be such a waste of an opportunity. Together with Yu Bing, Yu Yang decided to listen to Grandma Wu Tang's class first. Grandma Wu Tang was a famous plant-type grandmaster. Most importantly, her basic knowledge was plentiful. No one in the academy could compare to her. Originally, Yu Yang thought that there would be a lot of students listening to her class. However, when he arrived, he realized that other than 2 students, only he and Yu Bing came to listen to the class. After waiting for half a day, Yi Kong pulled the still sleeping Fatty Hai over. Maybe it was because of the basic knowledge class, but almost no students came. Only those 2 weird students came. One was as skinny as a monkey, but his beast was as fat as a pig. The other beast seemed normal, but its owner was covered with cuts and bruises. His wounds were bandaged like a dumpling. These 2 people were extremely diligent. Before they started class, they were already copying. Because they were freshmen, no matter if it was Yu Yang, Yu Bing, Yi Kong, or the Li Clan brothers, none of them knew these 2 weird students. The only one who was familiar with the situation was Fatty Hai, who was chasing after a beauty in his dreams and didn't have time to open his eyes. Yi Kong could only smile at the 2 weird students to show his friendliness. The 2 students hurriedly waved their hands, hinting Yi Kong and the others not to sit too close to them. Students, I am Teacher Wu Tang. At first, Yu Yang thought that Grandma Wu Tang was an old lady with a kind face like the old lady doctor, who knew that he was completely wrong. Grandma Wu Tang was a woman who looked like she was in her 40s. She had rosy cheeks, delicate skin, and clear eyes. Other than the wrinkles at the corner of her eyes, she didn't look old at all. Although her clothes were simple, her temperament was extraordinary. Her entire person emitted a kind of special temperament that was a combination of rationality and wisdom, as if nothing in the world could move her. Her expression was calm and gentle, like an old well without ripples. If Yang didn't know that this Grandma Wu Tang was once Jun Wu Yu, Elder Yu Hai, and the old fox's teacher, and that her students were almost 200 years old, and that she was at least 300 years old this year, he would have thought that she was really a woman in her 40s or 50s. Grandma Wu Tang had more freedom in class. She didn't take attendance, nor did she read from a book. Instead, she explained based on her experience. After talking about plant-type beast basic knowledge for 10 minutes, she stopped and asked with a smile, "Other than the plant type, just now, everyone is free to ask any questions. I would like to ask about the relationship between beasts and warriors. If possible, I would also like to understand more about holy beasts and mythical beasts." Yu Yang had a lot of questions in his heart. Because of the knowledge that the summoning grimoire had transmitted to his brain, he knew a little about the advanced cultivation of beasts, but he didn't know much about the basic knowledge. Beasts, everyone should know that they are divided into normal, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and diamond ranks. Most warriors come into contact with normal ranked beasts the most. Bronze ranked and above are elite ranked beasts. After reaching gold ranked, we call them king beasts. That's why we call them gold king beasts. As for platinum ranked and diamond ranked beasts, they can't be reached through human cultivation. They are very rare so we won't talk about them for now. Normally, after reaching the strength of a level 7 overlord, there would be a special teacher who would come to guide everyone. Above that, there would be another realm. In the soaring dragon continent that we live in, under normal circumstances, there would not be any beasts that exceed level 10. In other words, only normal ranked beasts could reach level 10. Furthermore, the majority of level 10 beasts exist for special reasons. For example, the ocean king whale, island tortoise, 10,000-year ancient tree, and so on. These beasts have huge bodies and long lifespans. They don't have any natural enemies in the natural world, so they could easily grow to level 10. At the same time, because they possess great strength and have no natural enemies, they would rarely participate in battles in their entire lives. Hence, their chances of evolving are extremely low. They would remain normal ranked for their entire lives, without any possibility of mutation. As Grandma Wu Tung spoke, the two weird students scribbled noisily. As for Yu Yang, he pricked up his ears to listen. He realized that this Grandma Wu Tung was a very well-hidden ranker. On the surface, she looked like she only had the strength of a level 5 Grandmaster, but in reality, when Yu Yang used his divine vision to look at her, he could only see a facade. Compared to the old cunning fox, Jun Wu Yu and Elder Yu Hai, who he still couldn't see through, she was many times stronger. Yu Yang suspected that this Grandma Wu Tung might be one of the 7 legendary, innate rankers in the Xia Kingdom. However, why would an innate ranker attend classes in the academy? Without any evidence, Yu Yang couldn't be too sure. Of course, no matter who Grandma Wu Tung was, Yu Yang felt that the knowledge she was talking about was many times stronger than those inflexible knowledge recorded in books. If a normal ranked beast has a body like the ocean king whale, under the situation where it doesn't have any natural enemies, it would be able to level up to level 10. Our standard is set at normal ranked level 10. Bronze ranked. We all know that this is the most basic elite ranked. Every bronze ranked beast of the same level is stronger than a normal ranked beast by 1 level. The higher the level, the greater the difference in strength. For example, a normal ranked level 3 beast might be able to fight against a bronze ranked level 2 beast, but a normal ranked level 7 beast would definitely not be able to fight against a bronze ranked level 6 beast, even if the bronze ranked beast was only 1 level higher. This is the difference in growth between an elite ranked beast and a normal ranked beast. In the soaring dragon continent, bronze ranked beasts can only level up to bronze ranked level 9. Normally, they wouldn't have any natural enemies after that. They would never be able to surpass themselves in their entire lives and would be stuck at bronze ranked level 9. This is because, in a sense, bronze ranked level 9 has already reached the peak. They would already be able to dominate an area and be invincible. Hence, they wouldn't be able to progress any further. In the natural world, beasts like the cattle-swallowing Kodo beast, giant mammoth, earthquake dragon, giant mountain beast, and so on, because of their size, they wouldn't have any natural enemies in the natural world. Although they aren't as huge as the ocean king whale or the island tortoise, to humans, they are still extremely huge creatures. In their lifetime, the number of battles that they would experience is very small. Normally, they would be the leaders of their clans, so the highest they can reach is bronze ranked level 9. According to what you said, silver ranked beasts would at most be silver ranked level 8, and gold ranked beasts would at most be gold ranked level 7. Is that right? Yu Yang asked. That's right. In the natural world, if no one nurtures them, silver ranked level 8 and gold ranked level 7 beasts wouldn't have any natural enemies in the natural world. They would be able to prey on other creatures that are at the same level 10 as them. However, everyone must take note of one thing. Because of the difficulty of evolution, most of the beasts are normal ranked level 10, and the number of beasts that can evolve and mutate to gold ranked is the least. If we say that there are more than 1,000 normal ranked level 10 beasts that have already been discovered, the number of gold ranked level 7 beasts that have been recorded doesn't even exceed 50. Many of them only exist in legends. Nobody can directly prove that these beasts exist at the top of the food chain. Grandma Wu Tung nodded affirmatively. Then in other places, are there beasts that have surpassed gold-ranked level 7? For example, in Tongtian Tower? Yu Yang asked again. There are, but those are not the contents of our lecture today. In the future, when you all have the strength of a level 7 overlord, there will be someone who will tell you all about it. Let's talk about the second question, which is about warriors. Other than the level 10 titles that we know of, after the level 7 overlord, there will be another realm. When you all have reached that realm, there will be someone who will guide you towards a higher realm. Grandma Wu Tong didn't tell them about the realm after level 7, but Yu Yang could guess that it would be the innate realm. After level 7, one would start to train in the innate realm. Can you talk about the comparison between beasts and warriors? Also, can you talk about holy beasts and mythical beasts? Yu Yang wanted to take this opportunity to understand his own strength and what realm he had reached. Most importantly, he wanted to understand his own beasts, like Little One Li. Was she a holy beast or a mythical beast? All right, next, I will talk about the relationship between beasts and warriors. I will also talk about how to nurture holy beasts and mythical beasts. Grandma Wu Tong's calm words immediately shocked the entire audience. Nurture holy beasts and mythical beasts? How is this possible? Could holy beasts and mythical beasts really be nurtured artificially? Chapter 139. Regarding holy beasts and mythical beasts, everyone knows that they exist. Furthermore, many people know how to cultivate holy beasts. Unfortunately, these things are useless to normal people. It's like a normal person contracting a summoning grimoire, knowing that it exists, but unable to contract it. Grandma Wu Tong smiled slightly. If we want to know the method, we must first understand what a holy beast is and how to evaluate it. Not only Yu Yang, even Yu Bing, Yi Kong, and the Li brothers pricked up their ears to listen. Only Fatty Hai was still in his dream, snoring so loudly that it shook the heavens. Grandma Wu Tong didn't mind the sleeping Fatty Hai. She looked at Yu Yang, then looked at Yu Bing and nodded slightly. Yi Kong suddenly felt that maybe it was because Yu Yang and Yu Bing were here listening to the lecture that Grandma Wu Tong would reveal this kind of secret. Otherwise, if it was just a normal student, it would be impossible for them to have the chance to hear this. Holy beast is not just a type of creature. It is also not a level or rank, but a realm of ability. Those that have high intelligence are holy beasts. No matter if they are normal, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, or diamond, as long as they have high intelligence, they can be classified as holy beasts. Of course, it is very difficult for beasts below platinum to have high intelligence. Hence, beasts below platinum that can become holy beasts are 1 in a billion. Other than level 10 beasts that have lived for thousands or even tens of thousands of years, normal beasts would have a hard time becoming holy beasts. Holy beast specialties are language and learning. Because they have high intelligence, holy beasts can speak human language and learn human skills at the same time. If your beasts reach that realm, they would understand that the holy beast realm is the beginning of a beast's journey to the peak. And what about divine beasts? Yu Yang was secretly curious. The Bloody Queen had intelligence and knew how to speak Demon Abyss language. Could she be counted as a holy beast? Or had she already stepped into the holy beast realm and was about to evolve into a holy beast? I don't know much about divine beasts. When Grandma Wu Tong mentioned mythical beasts, she paused for a moment, then said indifferently, "It is said that mythical beasts are the same as holy beasts. They both have extremely high intelligence. However, the biggest difference between them and holy beasts is that they possess summoning grimoires." Grandma Wu Tong's words made Yu Yang jump up in shock. Possess a grimoire? Does possessing a summoning grimoire make one a mythical beast? In that case, Little One Li, a mythical beast can possess a summoning grimoire? How is this possible? Yi Kong and the Li brothers were also extremely shocked. They didn't dare to believe it. Grandma Wu Tong waved her hand lightly, indicating for Yu Yang to sit down. I'm not too sure about the specifics, whether it's true or just a rumor. Once you've reached that realm, go and find out for yourselves. Yu Yang had a guilty conscience, afraid that Grandma Wu Tong would notice that something was wrong with him. The fact that Little One Li had a summoning grimoire must be kept a top secret, So Yu Yang hurriedly changed the topic. Then please tell me more about the holy beast. Other than possessing high intelligence and the ability to learn and speak, holy beasts also have another ability, which is to transform into humans. No matter what the original form of a holy beast is, be it a lion, an eagle, or something else, they can all transform into humans. They would slowly evolve into the same body as us, speak our human language, and learn our human combat skills. The stronger the holy beast, the more perfect its transformation into a human would be, and the closer it would be to us. If it reaches the 9th level of a holy beast, it would become exactly the same as us. Even if it were to sit here and have lessons with us, we wouldn't be able to tell that it's a beast and not a human. Grandma Wu-Tang's words completely shocked Yu Yang. For example, the Bloody Queen, Little Wen Li, the barbarian Cow Shadow, and even a Thorny Flower. As time passed, they all became more and more like humans. Not only in terms of strength, but also in terms of intelligence and emotions, they were all continuously improving. Could it be that the process of nurturing the Golden Crown Thorny Flower Queen was the process of nurturing a holy beast? Could it be that holy beasts and mythical beasts weren't as simple as 9-star or 10-star beasts, and could be further divided into many ranks? Among the holy beasts, how could they differentiate the strong and the weak? Yu Yang hurriedly asked, among the holy beasts, are there also ranks? Is it like level 1, level 2, and level 3? Grandma Wu-Tang nodded her head in affirmation. It's not the same as our normal beasts. Rankers divide holy beasts into 9 ranks. Even a mature level 1 holy beast battle power is equivalent to a normal level 9. However, because their battle power is really too high, far surpassing the imagination of normal people, normal warriors don't need to know about these things. Hence, rankers just call the entire holy beast ranks as 9 stars. Of course, this 9 stars is completely different from a normal level 9 beast. When your beasts reach that realm in the future, you will understand. Hearing this, Yi Kong and the others felt their scalps go numb. If a level 1 holy beast had the strength of a normal level 9 beast, then how terrifying would a level 9 holy beast be? Above them, there were still mythical beasts. No wonder it was said that holy beasts were the beginning of the peak. This, to a normal warrior, it was really hard to imagine. No wonder the rankers at the peak would view warriors below level 6 as ants. A thought suddenly flashed through Yu Yang's mind. Why not ask the mysterious being that killed the Dark Golden Spectre in an instant? Above mythical beasts, is there an existence of a higher level? It is said that above mythical beasts, there is an existence called the transcending mythical beast. It is a kind of innate life form that normal warriors would not be able to possess. It is said that every 10,000 years, a lucky person like this would appear in the soaring dragon continent. However, this is only a legend. There are no records of transcending mythical beasts in this world. As for transcending mythical beasts, I don't understand them at all. Let's talk about holy beasts here. Transcending mythical beast, Yu Yang thought in his heart when he was unconscious, the one that appeared and killed the Dark Golden Spectre in an instant. Could it be the lucky person that appeared in the soaring dragon continent in 10,000 years? Could it be him? However, he was not a person from the soaring dragon continent, but a guy from another world. Even if it appeared, it wouldn't be him, a guy from another world, right? The only thing he could confirm now was that Little Wen Li, who possessed a diamond grimoire, could be a mythical beast. She could even be a transcending mythical beast. Although he was a guy from another world and was not born with it, he had coincidentally met Queen Vivian Li, who had been sealed for 10,000 years. Then, he had worked together with her to raise Little Wen Li. This seemed to be related to being born with a transcending mythical beast and 10,000 years of luck. Using the conditions of a transcending mythical beast on Little Wen Li seemed to make sense. Yu Yang secretly decided that no matter what Little Wen Li was, he would definitely raise her up. When his innate invisible sword chi reached a higher realm, he would definitely be able to open that divine grimoire. At that time, he would have a look at the records in the divine grimoire. He believed that all his doubts would be answered. Grandma Wu Tang's intelligent eyes swept across Yu Yang's face and smiled. Regarding the cultivation of holy beasts, actually many people know about it, but they don't have the ability to do it. Listen to it. Maybe you guys can cultivate a holy beast. Yes. Yu Bing felt that she might not be able to do it, but her brother, who had the Bloody Queen, should have a chance. She listened with great interest. To cultivate a holy beast, it is best if it is a guardian beast, because it will never truly die and it will never betray you. If not, any type of beast would be the same. The process of cultivation is to let the beast level up continuously, increase its intelligence, and at the same time, evolve into a human form. All types are the same. In Tong Tian Tower, there is a world tree quest where you can obtain the fruit of wisdom. This is one of the ways to cultivate a holy beast. There is also another way to cultivate a holy beast. For example, in the first floor of Tong Tian Tower, the 12 zodiac temples, if you complete 100% of the challenges, you will be rewarded by the ancient code. If you complete more than 100% of the challenges, you will be able to raise the intelligence of a holy beast. If you complete all the challenges in the 12 zodiac temples and win all of them, you would probably be able to cultivate a holy beast intelligence. Grandma Wu Tang's words made Yu Yang suddenly understand. So that deathly difficult challenge was actually for people to cultivate holy beasts. No wonder it was so abnormal. Once a warrior succeeds in the challenge and obtains the reward of intelligence, they cannot challenge it again and can only move on to the next temple. If they complete all the challenges in the 12 zodiac temples, they can proceed to the second floor of the heaven, earth, and human halls. There are also rewards there. At the higher floors, there are the World Tree quest and even more difficult quests. The seniors said this: the more you put in, the more you will reap. If you want to cultivate a holy beast, you need to go through countless difficult challenges. The more difficult battles it goes through, the higher the beast's intelligence will be. This all depends on everyone's cultivation. How far you can go, how much hardship you can endure, how many battles you can experience, how much you can raise your beast to, it all depends on yourself. No one can help you. There are no shortcuts to cultivation. Children, at your age, is the best time to learn and raise your level. Hence, you must cherish your youth and cherish your opportunities. Grandma Wu Tang's words had opened a door for Yu Yang, Yu Bing, Yi Kong, and the others. Although they had yet to step into it, they all knew that at a higher place, there was another realm, another wonderful world. The Soaring Dragon Continent was just a starting point. At a higher place in the Tong Tian Tower, that was the true stage for the rankers to battle. That was the world that truly belonged to the rankers. Yu Yang and the others came to listen to Grandma Wu Tang's lessons for 3 consecutive days. Her knowledge was as vast as the sea, allowing Yu Yang's basic knowledge and the doubts in his heart to be replenished in an instant. He felt that he was gaining something every day, improving every day. Whether it was in terms of controlling his own beasts or targeting the weaknesses of his enemy's beasts, Yu Yang had made great progress. It was only at this moment that Yu Yang realized that his path to becoming a ranker had a true starting point. With these foundations laid, he would be like a tiger that had grown wings, and he would soar to the sky in one go. He believed that he would be able to break through again in the near future. Grandma Wu Tang's words were actually not of much help to Yi Kong and the Li brothers, because the difference in their strength was too great. Their beasts were also worlds apart from holy beasts. They were like primary school students who had gone to a university student's class to listen to lessons. Although they had learned some knowledge, in reality, they could not understand much. Yu Yang, on the other hand, was the opposite. His strength was the closest to what Grandma Wu Tang was talking about. Almost every sentence that she said was of great help to his improvement. Many things that he did not understand became clear as if the clouds were dispelled to reveal the sun. In class, it was usually Yu Yang who would ask questions and Grandma Wu Tang who would answer. In other words, Grandma Wu Tang was teaching Yu Yang. The content of what she said was completely to guide him. As for Yi Kong and the others, they could only temporarily remember it in their hearts and wait for their strength to increase before they could understand it. Today's class will end here. In order to put into practice what we have learned in class, I have decided to give you guys an assignment. Go to the Despair Abyss and pick a stalk of starlight, serene indigo grass for me. If you guys succeed, then I will use my luck inherent skill to give your beast luck once. Grandma Wu Tang's assignment was actually given to Yu Yang. Yi Kong and the others, including Yu Bing, did not have the ability to go to the Despair Abyss to pick this stalk of starlight, serene indigo grass. Only Yu Yang had the ability to do so. Yes, Yu Yang naturally understood Grandma Wu Tang's intention. She wanted to use this opportunity to help him level up. I will give you guys a month's time. We will meet here again in a month. Grandma Wu Tang nodded slightly and slowly left. A month's time? Could it be that Grandma Wu Tang thought that he would need at least a month's time to go to the Despair Abyss to pick the starlight, serene indigo grass? What kind of damn place was this Despair Abyss? Even though Yu Yang had already prepared his heart, he was still shocked. Chapter 140. After Grandma Wu Tang left, Yu Bing took out the map of the soaring dragon continent and placed it on the table for everyone to study. The Despair Abyss was not in the Xia Kingdom. This was the biggest problem. To go to the Despair Abyss, they needed to go to the Tian Luo Kingdom. In a sense, this Despair Abyss was another Gue Jianshou, one of the world's 5 great deathlands. But it was different from Gue Jianshou in that there were often people in the Despair Abyss. Every year when spring and summer came and went, countless adventurers would go to the Despair Abyss to gather herbs or steal the demon eggs. Because of the high mortality rate, especially in the inner parts of the Despair Abyss, the risk of death was extremely high. Therefore, when ordinary mercenaries heard that their leader had decided to go to the Despair Abyss, they would write their wills in despair and bid farewell to their families. After a long time, the Coiling Snakes Valley was renamed to the Despair Abyss. The top 3 killers of the Despair Abyss were not the demon beasts, but the terrain. The mortality rate of walking in this kind of valley was extremely high. There was a possibility of falling to death at any time. It was even higher than hunting the demon beasts. The second killer was the mountain wind. It was said that the mountain wind here could easily blow a group of big-footed rock sheep a few kilometers away, let alone humans. The third killer was the spiders. Whether it was the giant blood nest mother or the extremely small funnel spider, they were all gold-ranked killers. Among the spiders, there were wolf spiders that could crawl quickly, bird spiders that could catch birds, sand spiders that could burrow deep in the soil, and black water spiders that could ambush at any time. These spiders were countless deadly killers. The scariest thing was that the spiders here loved to eat humans. Between humans and animals, they would always attack humans first. This was the reason why adventurers felt the most despair. Let's first prepare our luggage and teleport to Crow Leave City, then take a horse carriage to Sand Gate to cross the border, then transfer to Waterbowl City and teleport to Mountain Cat City. From here, we will hire a carriage to go to Coiling Snakes Town. As for the detailed map of the Despair Abyss, we will buy it there. Although Yi Kong had never been there before, he was very experienced. Very quickly, he chose the fastest path. All Yu Yang had to do was nod his head. Yu Bing, are you going too? Yu Yang was a little worried that her body wouldn't be able to take it. The Despair Abyss was infamous, and it wasn't a place to play around. Yes, I also want to train hard. Yu Bing was determined. She had always wanted to follow her brother, but she also hoped that she could quickly increase her strength so that she would not be a burden to her brother. Now that she had the chance to train, she felt that she shouldn't be scared off by the abyss of despair. She insisted on challenging herself and challenging the difficulty. Of course, she also knew that if there was any danger, her brother would protect her. She only needed to grit her teeth and follow closely by his side to gain experience. Seeing that Yu Bing was eager to improve, Yu Yang did not stop her. In the hearts of ordinary people, the Despair Abyss was a terrifying place of death. However, in Yu Yang's heart, it was far from the Gue Jianshou. Forget about the demon insects at the Gue Jianshou. The gold-ranked level 7 Reaper Mantis was not to be trifled with. The terrain of the Despair Abyss was a little dangerous, and the mountain winds were also strong. If one had good skills and a flying beast, it shouldn't be too difficult. The only thing that made Yu Yang wary was the deadline given by Grandma Wutong. 1 month. Even if they subtracted the 5 days' journey, there was still 25 days left. This meant that the starlight, serene indigo grass was definitely not easy to find. Other than that, it was impossible for such a treasure to not have any strong beasts coveting it. There was even a level 8 Herculean rhinoceros beetle fighting for the black-eared shriveled heart orchid in the abyss. Yikong, you guys prepare the things. We will first go to the bee shop in Shangjing to see if there are any chaos eggs that are suitable for us. Then I will write a letter to City Mistress Fallen Flowers and ask her if she has any good suggestions for picking the starlight, serene indigo grass. Seventh sister and I will go home to visit Fourth Mother. If you guys don't want to come, then you can wait for us at the Sandgate border. All right, I will also write a letter to Brother and Aunt. Yu Yang felt that if there were no beauties accompanying him on the road, his motivation would really be lacking. He decided to ask Anan if she had the time. All right, we will do as you say. Yikong and the Li brothers naturally had no objections. With their strength, they could only protect themselves in the Despair Abyss. If they wanted to pick the starlight, serene indigo grass, then Yu Yang had to do it himself. Fatty High's snoring was like thunder. His saliva flowed to the table and then to the floor. Yu Yang realized that this fellow had an innate talent for sleeping. As long as he entered a classroom, no matter who was in class, he would be confused. Once he picked up a book, he would feel sleepy. As a warrior who had contracted a grimoire, it was really rare to see a warrior who was as weak as Fatty High. However, there might be some hidden reasons through his level 3 divine vision. Yu Yang could discover that Fatty High had some good points that other people didn't have. Furthermore, these good points were very special. Once they were used well, it would not be a bad thing. Let's go, pig head. Seeing that Fatty High was still snoring, Yikong couldn't help but give him a slap. Fatty High didn't react at all. His snoring was so loud that it shook the heavens. Yikong could only use his trump card and splashed a bottle of water on Fatty High's head. In the end, Fatty High shivered and sat up. He wiped his face with his fat hands and looked around blankly. When he saw Yu Yang, he hurriedly shouted, it's raining, hurry up and keep the clothes." Yu Yang was almost shocked by this fatty. There were good things to learn, but he just had to learn from Tang Sung. When Yu Bing saw this, she covered her mouth and snickered. "Let's go. We have a new mission." Yi Kong angrily kicked Fatty High, hinting him to stop embarrassing himself. "What's the reward for the mission?" Fatty High was most concerned about this. "If we succeed, the reward will be a beauty," Yu Yang said seriously, his expression unquestionable. "Why don't you say that I, Master High, was born to complete missions? I am your boss. Of course I have to lead the team and complete the mission. All right, what is the mission? Pick the starlight, serene indigo grass. Where? Despair Abyss. Isn't it Despair Abyss? What did you say? What did you say just now? Despair Abyss? I'm not going." When Fatty High heard this, he immediately changed his mind. It seemed that between the beauty and his life, he still chose his life. Since Boss isn't going, then the beauty will belong to Yi Kong. Yu Yang generously gave away the non-existent beauty. Is it really a beauty? I'm throwing caution to the wind. I don't want this 300 pounds of meat anymore. Isn't it just a Despair Abyss? I'm going to flatten it. Can we go somewhere else? Going there is the same as sending myself to death. Your boss, haven't even slept with a single girl before. If I die like this, that would be too miserable. Fatty High cried loudly. It's fine if you don't want to go, but that beauty will belong to me. Yi Kong whistled. Put down the beauty immediately. Get rid of your greed and lust. The beauty belongs to me. Do you understand? Fatty High grabbed Yi Kong's collar and roared. Fatty, didn't you say you didn't want to go? Yi Kong asked curiously. Call me boss. As a boss, how can I cower in front of difficulties? Do you think I'm that kind of person? I'm a warrior. I'm a hero. I'm a hero who was born to be paired with a beauty. You monkey follower better behave yourself. Otherwise, I'll break your bones. No one could snatch a beauty from me, your boss. Do you understand? Before I lose my virginity, none of you should even think about losing it. Otherwise, I'll flip out and fall out with you. Fatty High's eyes were like a bull in heat. He looked extremely fierce and fiendish. As a boss, you haven't lost your virginity yet? Or did I hear wrongly? Yu Yang, who was leaving, turned his head and asked, "What do you mean? Your boss is a playboy. I lost my virginity when I was 12 years old. How could I be so miserable without losing my virginity? There are countless beauties who like me. I'm just struggling to cope with them. Can't you see that I lack sleep every day because of chasing after girls? Can't you see that I'm on the verge of collapse because of the beauties? Why are you still worried about my virginity? Crying? I'm not crying. When did you see me crying? I'm crying tears of excitement and pride. How can I not be excited and proud to know you bunch of lunatics who don't care about your lives?" Fatty High started crying as he spoke. He brought Yikong and Fatty High to the bee shop to take a look. He didn't find any suitable chaos eggs. Yu Yang knew that he had to rely on luck. He couldn't be impatient. He wrote 2 letters and sent them to Anan and City Mistress Fallen Flowers respectively. He then brought his sister Yu Bing back to the Yu clan castle. As for Yi Kong and the others, they first prepared the various items they would need for their journey. Fourth Mother was extremely happy that her son and daughter had returned. She happily told Yu Yang about her husband's situation. "Your fourth uncle is much better now. This is all thanks to Miss Feng taking care of him day and night. I've seen that Mississippi. She's not like what I imagined. She's a very gentle lady from a noble family. If she wasn't like that, why would she sacrifice herself to save your fourth uncle's life?" Yu Yang didn't say anything. He felt that even if Miss Feng was a good person, this matter was definitely a trap. However, the most important thing now wasn't to oppose Yushan. It was to wait for the right time to attack. Yu Yang decided to train and level up while waiting for a good opportunity. Since he was going to catch the culprit behind the scenes, then he would catch the culprit behind the scenes. Since he was going to turn hostile, then he would have a thorough battle. One attack would be enough to be fatal, so that the enemy would never be able to recover. Furthermore, it wasn't just a matter of fourth uncle and Miss Feng. There was also the matter of the pitiful guy and Miss Schweb breaking off the engagement and the pitiful guy jumping into the river to commit suicide. Yu Yang had to investigate these matters in secret and then deal a fatal blow to the enemy. This time, other than visiting Fourth Mother, Yu Yang's main purpose was to help Yu Shuang open up her meridians. Yu Shuang had never trained before, but Yu Yang had often transferred some innate qi in her body to help her open up her meridians. This allowed the little girl's body to maintain health and prevent her from getting sick easily in the future. Afterwards, Yu Yang discovered that after opening up her meridians, the amount of spiritual qi in Yu Shuang's body was much more than before. Her chances of contracting a grimoire had greatly increased. Yu Yang didn't immediately let her contract the bronze grimoire because he wanted to pass it to her at a suitable time in front of countless people. He wanted her to successfully contract it under the witness of the whole clan. Of course, in order to ensure that Yu Shuang could contract the grimoire as soon as she received it, Yu Yang estimated that he had to help her open up at least 5 meridians. He had only opened up 2 meridians now, so it was still too early. Furthermore, the matter of opening up Yu Shuang's meridians definitely couldn't be known by others. Even more so, he couldn't let Yu Shuang, this little girl, know about it. Otherwise, if someone gave her a piece of chaff, this gluttonous little girl might leak the secret. Yu Yang pretended to play with this little girl. While she wasn't paying attention, he channeled his innate qi bit by bit, opening up her meridians bit by bit. Yu Shuang, this little girl, loved to play. If she went crazy from playing, she wouldn't even notice that her body was heating up. Anyways, there was no need to rush the matter of letting Yu Shuang contract a grimoire. Yu Yang felt that if the contract was successful, this little girl might not have time to play anymore. She would be very pitiful if she trained all day. Thus, he didn't have the intention to let her contract a grimoire immediately. Instead, he wanted to find the most suitable opportunity to let the 4th branch show off in front of the clansmen. Fourth Mother, you must make her even more glorious. You must make her more glorious and proud than any other mother in the world. Sanur, Miss Shue from the Shue clan, has broken off the engagement. You can't not have a marriage. How about I help you ask which family's Miss is willing? Princess Sisai is quite good with you, right? She is a princess. Her status is very suitable for you. Her 8 characters are also good. It's just that the seniority is a bit messy. Fourth mother seemed to be preparing to talk about a marriage for Yu Yang. This gave Yu Yang a big shock. Don't think about this. I need to focus on training now. We can talk about it later, okay? Yu Yang hurriedly waved his hands to reject. All right then, find a suitable one yourself. If you can't find one, then fourth mother will make the decision. Fourth mother had heard from her daughter that there was a girl named Anan, but she had never seen her before. She didn't know how she was like. Of course, fourth mother didn't oppose her son's freedom to love. She was even afraid that her son was too shy, so she didn't directly ask to see Anan. After staying in the Yu clan castle for a day, Yu Yang was afraid that fourth mother would propose marriage again, so he quickly slipped away. Bringing Yu Bing along, he headed towards the Sandgate Kingdom. As soon as he arrived at the border of the Sandgate Kingdom, which was surrounded by tall walls, Yu Yang suddenly discovered that Yi Kong and the others were fighting with someone at the border. Both sides were fighting loudly. It was very lively, and there were a lot of spectators. Hey, what was going on? Chapter 141. Both sides didn't summon their beasts. They just punched randomly. Yi Kong and the others were few in number, but they were unyielding. Furthermore, they were used to working hard as mercenaries. Although they were surrounded, they didn't retreat and fought with their lives on the line. They weren't completely at a disadvantage, especially the Li brothers. The 2 brothers covered for each other, one attacking and one defending. They had a tacit understanding, and the men surrounding them couldn't gain any advantage. After contracting the King Kong demon ape and the Herculean rhinoceros beetle, Yi Kong's body quality had increased greatly. He had also gained a lot of support from his beasts, and most importantly, his confidence had returned. Even if he didn't summon the King Kong demon ape, he could still fight against his opponents. He fought against 2 people alone. The 2 of them looked similar. They should be twins. These 2 brothers were tall and sturdy, and they were attacking Yi Kong together. Hence, they attacked first, as if they wanted to swallow Yi Kong whole. Yi Kong didn't want to be outdone, and fought back with all his might. The 3 of them punched and kicked each other's faces. Their faces were all bruised and bleeding, their noses swollen. Maybe it was because of the anger in their hearts. No one was willing to stop, and decided to fight until one side fell. The onlookers didn't find it strange, because mercenary fights happened every day, regardless of time or place. Even the border soldiers were indifferent and didn't come forward to stop them. Under Yu Yang's signal, Hui Tai Lang pounced forward. It first let out a roar, shocking all the people and beasts present. It then easily knocked away a few men who were surrounding and beating Fatty Hai, saving this guy who was lying on the ground, hugging his head, and not caring about anything else. With the appearance of a silver-ranked level 4 beast, all the surrounding mercenaries retreated 10 meters away, their faces changing. The people fighting in the field were also scared to stop fighting. Hey, you don't follow the rules. You clearly said that you wouldn't use beasts, yet you summoned such a strong beast to fight. Aren't you bullying us? A man and a woman walked out from the crowd. The man was still all right. His expression was normal, but the woman was furious and scolded Yu Yang loudly. I don't know what happened, but is it your rules to gang up on 4 of them with 10 people? Yu Yang said sarcastically. We don't care about the Yi clan's matters, but before you came, we didn't summon our beasts to attack your companions. Secondly, we didn't participate in the battle. This proves that we don't have any ill intentions. This is just an internal conflict of the Yi family, and both sides have restrained themselves. They didn't use weapons, only their fists. After this fight, their anger has been vented. Why don't we just let it go? The man's attitude was amiable. His tone was neither servile nor overbearing. When he saw the silver-ranked level 4 Hui Tai Lang, he was not as surprised as the surrounding mercenaries. It seemed like he was also an impressive person. Forget it. Forget what? When you saw Gray Wolf, you were afraid. So of course you wanted to let it go. Why didn't you tell me to let it go when I was beaten up? Fatty High was very angry, but his face was not injured at all. There were only a lot of footprints on his buttocks. Perhaps the opponent saw that he was a good-for-nothing, so he didn't hit him too hard. He didn't even hit his face, but only kicked his buttocks. Yikong, don't think that you can make a comeback just because you found a powerful person to back you up. You are trash. You were trash in the past, you are trash now, and you will still be trash in the future. You will only be trash forever. One of the twin brothers pointed at Yikong and scolded him. I won't argue with you guys anymore. When it's time to worship our ancestors, we will compete in front of the whole family to see who is the trash. Yikong spat out a mouthful of blood in disdain. Who's afraid of who? If you don't dare to compete, then you are a coward. The two twin brothers whose noses were bleeding angrily returned to their companion's side. What happened? Yiyang was curious. Could it be that this Yikong was the same as the pitiful guy? They were both fighting in the family, killing each other? They're my cousins. Yikong said, afraid that Yiyang would misunderstand. He added, we don't have any enmity. We just have a little conflict. It's been going on since we were young. Then why did you guys start fighting? Yu Bing asked. Cough. During the new year, we had a little conflict at home. When we met here, they were cursing at me very badly. I couldn't control my temper and started fighting. This is just a conflict between me and them. My father and uncle are quite nice. I only fought and didn't really fight. Yikong was a little embarrassed when faced with Yu Bing's question. Yu Yang understood a little. Yikong didn't summon the King Kong demon ape and the Herculean rhinoceros beetle because he was afraid of accidentally killing his two cousins. Otherwise, with the power of the King Kong demon ape and the Herculean rhinoceros beetle, he would be able to flatten a large group of people. Of course, that young man who was not weak was an exception. You really fought. If you really fought, you were also a trash. Yikong, if it wasn't for my uncle, would you still be alive? The two twin brothers laughed coldly. We will fight again after worshipping our ancestors. I won't argue with you guys now. Yikong was very confident now. Now that he had the bronze-ranked King Kong demon ape and the Herculean rhinoceros beetle, Yikong felt that he was close to or even surpassing his previous strength. Hence, he was not afraid when facing a challenge. He felt that following Yu Yang's side would allow him to gain experience and improve 10 times faster than before. When worshipping their ancestors at home, his strength would increase by another level. By then, his two cousins would definitely not be his opponents. If they still thought that he was the trash that was lying on the ground in the first floor of Tong Tian Tower 2 months ago, they would be gravely mistaken. We are all youngsters. It's normal for us to fight when we are angry. Now that the matter is over, everyone has their own matters to attend to. I think it's better to disperse. The man who was leading the group cupped his hands towards Yu Yang and prepared to lead the group to leave. Wait, don't tell me that I got beaten up by you guys for nothing. The beauty opposite me, come out. I want to fight you one-on-one. Fatty High's goal was not to fight one-on-one. His real intention was probably to have physical contact with the beauty. The little beauty opposite him had soft and tender fists. She probably did not have much strength. If she hit his fat body, it would be equivalent to a comfortable massage. If they really fought, wouldn't it be too easy for him? Shameless, who wants to fight with you? The little beauty opposite him was smart. She did not fall for his trick and rejected him immediately. She even made a cute face at him. Master High, will let you punch me 3 times first. Fatty High was even more pleased with himself when he saw that the other party was avoiding a fight. Damn Fatty, just you wait. Today, with this big dog here, I won't lower myself to your level. But the next time I see you, I'll skin you alive. The little beauty was not afraid of Fatty High at all. Instead, she was a little afraid of Hui Tai Lang. Even without Hui Tai Lang, I'm still a powerful person. I'm the boss, do you understand? Everyone here is under my protection. Although Hui Tai Lang's level is slightly higher, Master High's beasts are not inferior either. I'm just keeping a low profile and not showing it. Don't tell me that a low-profile person like me would tell you that I'm a grimoire contractor and that I have a bronze-ranked level 2 iron rhinoceros. Hey, you guys are not allowed to leave. I'm not finished yet. When Fatty Hai opened his mouth, everyone scattered. No one wanted to listen to his nonsense, making him extremely mad. Yu Yang looked into the distance. There was a tall masked thief with slender legs. She was quietly standing in the empty space, reading a book. At first, Yu Yang thought that she was an An, but when he looked carefully, he realized that this female thief was at least half a head taller than an An. Furthermore, she was extremely strong. Yu Yang used his level 3 divine vision to observe carefully and couldn't help but be shocked. This was the strongest person he had ever met at the same age as him. Yu Yang reckoned that this female thief was even stronger than Feng Qisha, Yin Pejun, and Xue Tan Lang, the 3 great killing stars. From a certain point of view, she was another Princess Sisai. Her strength was probably on par with Princess Sisai, the royal swordswoman. The royal swordswoman majored in combat skills, but this female thief obviously didn't. She only disguised herself as a female thief. In reality, with Yu Yang's divine vision, he could see that she was an element-type summoner. Her strength was hidden very deeply. The strangest thing was the ancient book that this female thief was reading. Yu Yang realized that it was actually a spiritual equipment that had a life of its own, just like the Huiji magic blade. This book's energy and aura was hidden. If it was fully activated, it might not be weaker than the Huiji magic blade. Who was this female thief? How could she have such a strong strength? Yu Yang was extremely shocked. If there was a Princess Sisai in this world because of Jun Wuyu's painstaking nurturing, then which royal family had nurtured this female thief on the surface? If she didn't have the power of a family, a country, or a sect, it would be impossible to raise a junior to this level at such a young age. The 3 great killing stars were nurtured with all their might by their families. Princess Sisai was nurtured with all their might by the Xia royal family. And this female thief, who was even more low-profile than Princess Sisai, was probably a disciple nurtured with all their might by a certain sect. What's wrong? Yu Bing followed Yu Yang's gaze and saw the female thief who was quietly reading a book. She immediately shook her head. It's not sister and An. It's not brother and An. Let's go. Yu Yang reached out his hand and lightly stroked Yu Bing's little head. As Yu Yang and the others walked towards the Sandgate Kingdom's border, a light breeze suddenly blew. Yu Yang couldn't help but turn his head to look. He realized that the female thief who was originally quietly reading a book had already disappeared without a trace. This speed was too fast, wasn't it? How did she do it? It wasn't teleportation, nor was it invisibility. How did she leave? Could it be that this girl was coming for him? Yu Yang's mind flashed like lightning, his thoughts spinning rapidly. Which of the 4 major sects was targeting him? After crossing the border, they took a carriage to Buffalo City. Before entering the city, Yu Yang unintentionally turned his head to look behind him. The female thief was quietly reading a book 100 meters away. How did she catch up to us? Yu Yang was even more surprised. To be able to hide her movements from him, this girl was really godly. Yu Yang was extremely vigilant. After entering Buffalo City, he immediately led the team to the teleportation circle and teleported to Bobcat City. In Bobcat City, they were looking for a place to have lunch. Yu Bing suddenly gently pulled Yu Yang's arm with her little hand. Look over there. It's the sister reading a book. Why is she faster than us? In a martial arts restaurant called Come Again, the female thief sat quietly by the window on the 2nd floor. She was still holding a book in her hands and reading, completely engrossed in it. Obviously, she had arrived long ago. Yu Yang was secretly angered by this girl. Whether she wanted to fight or push him down, she could have just come over and said a few words. Why was she always so secretive? Didn't she know that curiosity could kill people? Who was she? He hadn't provoked her, so why was she always following him? After lunch, Yu Yang and the others took a carriage straight to Coiling Snakes Valley. Along the way, they didn't see the female thief. Yu Yang suddenly felt a little empty in his heart. He let his imagination run wild. What if she wasn't following him at all? She was just coincidentally going the same way. Luckily, he didn't go up to her and ask her, or else it would be really embarrassing. When they arrived at Coiling Snakes Valley, they discovered that the female thief was sitting quietly on top of a tall mountain rock. She was holding a book and reading. Under the dim light of dusk, she looked like a stone statue, quiet and peaceful. At this time, not only Yu Bing, even Yi Kong noticed it and frowned. Fatty Hai didn't know at first, but when he heard that someone was following them, he didn't care at first. But when he saw that it was a beauty, he immediately rubbed his fists. You guys wait for me to take her down. I'm going to take her down and interrogate her thoroughly. She can use one finger to send your 300 kilograms of meat flying. If you don't believe me, you can go a try. Yu Yang almost fainted when he heard this. Even if you wanted to bully a beauty, you had to look at the other party first. I didn't say anything. Fatty Hai was so scared that he broke out in a waterfall of sweat. It was this big sister. Yu Bing felt strange. If he knew her, why didn't he come up to greet her? If he didn't know her, why did he follow her? If they were going the same way, wasn't this too much of a coincidence? Chapter 142. Outside the Coiling Snakes Valley, there was a small town. Its original name was Coiling Snakes Town, but the mercenaries liked to call it Hope Town. The reason was that after entering the Despair Abyss, one's life could not be guaranteed. Only when one returned to the surface in the Great Rift Valley and saw this small town that was built halfway up the mountain would it mean that one had truly walked out of the Despair Abyss alive. Only by seeing this small town would there be hope. There were many mercenaries in the town. This was the best time to harvest fire red ant eggs. One ant egg was equivalent to 1 gold. So many mercenaries came here to make a fortune. Normally, no matter how big a mercenary group was, they would not dare to provoke the fire red ants that were more than 5 meters long. However, this season was an exception. In these 2 months, countless female fire red ants would fly out and find another place to build a new fire red ant kingdom. When they started to lay eggs, there would not be any fire red ants guarding it. Even if there were, there would only be a small number of them. Thus, the mercenaries could take the opportunity to steal the ant eggs and exchange them for gold. Of course, the Great Rift Valley at the periphery of the Despair Abyss was the territory of the fire red ants. When the mercenaries passed through the underground caves, the chances of encountering other fire red ants that were foraging for food were very high. Hence, this was definitely a high-risk job where one's life was exchanged for money. 1 map is sold for 2 gold. Young man, please do not complain, because these maps were exchanged with the lives of countless explorers. Every time we sell a map, we will take out half of the price as compensation for the families of the explorers. The old man in charge of selling the maps from the Warrior Guild sincerely pointed out a few death zones to Yu Yang and the rest. The Despair Abyss was a large rift valley that ran from east to west. It was 600 kilometers long. The widest central zone was 120 kilometers wide. The gap between the normal rift valleys was 40 to 50 kilometers wide. It was said that the record for the deepest drop was more than 10 kilometers. The terrain was not flat, but there were many towering peaks and jagged rocks. Most of the places at the bottom of the valley could not see sunlight all year round. The terrain was extremely dangerous. The central zone of the Rift Valley was still an absolute death zone. No one was able to find out the truth. On the map, there were a total of 6 death zones that were forbidden to enter. They were Abyss Blackwater Lake, Flaming Mountain, Broken Bones Bridge, Sandstorm Canyon, Cloud Top Lake, and Death Zone. Apart from the dead center, the other 5 were scattered around the periphery on the east and west sides. The starlight serene indigo grass that Yu Yang and the others wanted to collect was on a high cliff near the Cloud Top Lake. It was said that they had to climb up a dangerous peak that was more than 3,000 meters high. Only on the precipice of the precipice could they see this strange flower that only bloomed under the starlight. Brother Inan left a message at the Thieves' Guild, saying that he would meet up with us in a few days. There's also a message from City Lord Fallen Flowers. She said that in half a month, she'll come personally to pick the starlight, serene indigo grass with us. She wants us to explore the terrain first. Yi Kong had returned from the Thief Guild, and the news he brought back gave Yu Yang a slight headache. 1 girl could be hugged in his arms, but 2 girls had come. The situation was not good. He hoped that city mistress Fallen Flowers and Anan would not be too jealous. Let's explore the way first. This place is very dangerous. It's good that we spend a few days exploring. Yubing knew that picking the starlight, serene indigo grass was not easy. It would be better to wait for City Lord Fallen Flowers, who was an expert. Yang also thought so. He did not even want to bring Yubing, Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the others to pick it. If he brought them to the Cloudtop Lake, that kind of dead place, and he climbed up the precipice to pick the starlight serene indigo grass, it would not be a joke if something happened to the few of them, especially Yubing. If she was injured, how could he explain it to Fourth Mother? When they left the town and headed towards the despair abyss, Yu Yang looked left and right, but he did not see that mysterious female thief who loved to read books. Although there were mercenaries walking in front, there were also mercenaries following behind. However, walking down this stone path that was less than half a meter wide, step by step, going down for dozens of meters, then turning in another direction and walking for dozens of meters again, making a detour down layer by layer, was a very chilling action. Looking down, the mercenaries at the bottom of the valley were even smaller than ants. Although Yi Kong's courage was not small, he could not help but feel his scalp go numb. If he were to accidentally fall down, then not even his bones would be left. The most frightening thing was that the mountain wind here was extremely strong. Waves after waves of whistling, the wind would blow people up from time to time. Even Fatty Hai's huge body that weighed 150 kilograms couldn't withstand the strong wind. When a mountain wind blew, he had to quickly grab onto the cracks on the precipice. Otherwise, he would also be blown away by the strong wind. Yu Yang, who was behind him, was the calmest person in the whole team. When a mountain wind blew, countless mercenaries cursed one after another, but he was the only one who was as calm as before. Ever since he had comprehended the nature's heart, this bit of wind was nothing to Yu Yang. Yubing pulled on the corner of her brother's clothes and followed behind him. Every time the biting cold mountain wind blew, Yu Yang would reach out and hold her small hand so that she wouldn't be blown away by the wind. In the sky, from time to time, there would be huge spiders, rock goats, or huge lizards being blown away by the mountain wind. Some of them were blown away by the mountain wind, smashing into the mountain wall and turning into a pool of blood. If the wind suddenly decreased, the animals in the air would fall down one by one, finally making a dull thud. Many times, the rock goats that were blown away would still be alive, bleeding in the air. The bleeding sounded especially terrifying in the howling wind, causing people's bodies to go soft. Yu Yang saw a mercenary on the top of the cliff slip. Before he could fall to the bottom of the valley, he was blown away by the mountain wind. In an instant, no one knew where he was thrown to. Only a blood-curdling scream could be heard echoing in the valley for a long time. "Don't be afraid, it's okay." Yu Yang hurriedly comforted Yubing, who knew that the little girl was very strong-willed, immediately shaking her head. "I'm not afraid. I'm so scared. Please comfort me too," Fatty Hai said with a sullen face. "Shut up. You can't want to beat this guy to death, but it was a pity that this was not the right place. You pigheads, if you don't want to die, pay attention to me and use all your strength. Do you want to come back alive and get a share of the money? If you don't want to die here and become the lizard's dinner or the spider's feces, then you better be 120% vigilant and follow me. See how I walk, you walk. If you fall down, no one can save you, and no one dares to save you." A mercenary leader with a big beard lectured loudly. It seemed that the mercenary who slipped just now was his subordinate. They walked for more than 2 hours on the winding path on the cliff. By the time they reached the camp at the bottom of the valley, the sky was already completely dark. For the last part of the road, the mercenaries had to light torches to walk down. At the bottom of the valley, the mercenaries sat on the rocks, gnawing on the greasy rock goat leg as they laughed at Fatty Hai. "Rookie, welcome to the Despair Abyss. You've prepared quite a lot of things, but you seem to have forgotten to bring your wet nurse." What should I do if I want to drink milk? I haven't stopped drinking milk yet," a skinny mercenary cried out in a strange voice. "Ha ha ha." The mercenaries all laughed together. Fatty Hai's eyes flashed with anger, but he quickly lowered his head. "When you laugh at others, don't forget to look behind you," Yu Yang suddenly laughed coldly. What did you say? The skinny mercenary was furious when he heard that. He threw the roasted meat on the ground and took out his dagger at the same time. I'm just advising you to be careful. Yu Yang shrugged his shoulders. Rookie, looks like I'm going to give you a lesson and teach you what it means to shut up. The skinny mercenary walked over with a sinister smile. Suddenly, a black shadow quickly pounced out from the darkness and attacked the skinny mercenary's body. Then, it quickly dragged him into the darkness. When the mercenaries saw this, they shouted dodge *T. One after another, they threw down the roasted meat in their hands and took out their weapons from their waists. They raised their torches and chased into the darkness. When the mercenaries chased after them, there was no longer any movement in the darkness. The monster that had attacked the skinny mercenary had disappeared without a trace along with its prey. After a while, the mercenaries who couldn't catch up to the monster returned resentfully. A bald mercenary leader walked in front of Yu Yang, glaring at him as he said, You saw the ghost shadow rock spider, but you didn't give a warning. You're the one who caused the death of my brothers. Yu Yang shook his head indifferently. I did warn him, but he ignored my words. If the ghost shadow rock spider hadn't appeared, perhaps I would have already fallen to the ground with a dagger. Before that, I didn't see you, the leader, say a single word to stop him. I know you love your subordinates, but I also value my brothers. You insulting them is the same as slapping my face. Now, I want to say this. If there's a next time, I won't wait for the ghost shadow rock spider to ambush me. I'll do it myself. Even if my brother was in the wrong, you can't just watch him get killed by the ghost shadow rock spider. We are humans. In a dangerous situation, we should help each other. The bald mercenary leader was angry and ashamed. He anxiously stomped his feet. When these words come out of your mouth now, it really does sound sarcastic. Before he pulled out his dagger, why didn't you say that we are humans and should help each other in a dangerous situation? Yu Yang rebuked. The bald mercenary leader's face turned red and green. He was so angry that he punched his chest a few times and roared in pain. Even if he was in the wrong, you shouldn't have watched him die. He wouldn't have really killed you. He was just being arrogant and wanted to teach you a lesson. He didn't deserve to die. You obviously could have saved him. You should have saved him first. If he was in the wrong, I can make him apologize to you. All right, I'll wait for your apology. Yu Yang waved his hand, and Gray Wolf dashed out from the darkness. In its mouth was the skinny green-skinned mercenary. It was impossible for any of the mercenaries to catch up to the ghost shadow rock spider. However, in front of Gray Wolf, the ghost shadow rock spider's speed was only slightly faster than a tortoise. Gray Wolf arrogantly returned in front of Yu Yang and threw the dying skinny mercenary onto the ground. At the same time, it growled at the stunned mercenaries. Its imposing manner was extremely tyrannical, and its whole body was filled with dense demonic energy. It scared them so much that they all took a few steps back. The mercenary leader also jumped in fright. Looking carefully, it was a silver-ranked level 4 two-headed demon wolf. Even he, who was used to seeing the world, couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva with his heart beating like a drum. When he saw that his brother was still alive, he hurriedly rushed over and hugged him, shouting loudly, Give me the antidote, quickly! Yu Yang brought you Bing and turned to leave. I'm the boss. How can I let my brother stand up for me? Yu Yang, listen to me. I will definitely not be a burden to you in the future. I will definitely be a qualified boss. I will never run away or cower in the future. Forever. Do you hear me? I said forever. Fatty Hai was like an injured beast, shouting loudly at Yu Yang's back. Even if you don't qualify now, after special training, you will become a qualified boss. I believe that you have this potential. Yu Yang turned back and smiled. Bastard, don't say that I don't qualify. It's just special training. Fatty Hai's tears rolled down. Yikong walked over and patted Fatty Hai's shoulders, who was so excited that his whole body was trembling. Unexpectedly, he didn't say anything. The two brothers Li Chia and Li Gu were the same. They came over and patted Fatty Hai's shoulders. Then, they chased after Yu Yang. The bald mercenary leader who had just rescued the skinny mercenary looked at Yu Yang's back disappearing into the darkness and muttered to himself, Yu Yang is a disciple of Yu Clan? Could he be the legendary good-for-nothing Xiao San? Heavens, people like him. I can only say that we are blind. No, the world is blind. This move and shameful lesson, I will remember it. I will remember it forever. Chapter 143. For 3 whole days, Yu Yang had been training with Yikong and the others in the anthole. They did not return to the camp. Yu Yang's goal was not to look for fire red ant eggs like the mercenaries, but to train his beasts in the team's tacit understanding. Yu Yang did not summon his beasts to fight. His main goal was to protect everyone secretly. At the same time, when Yikong, Fatty Hai, and the others were fighting, Yu Yang secretly trained his yin-yang twin fish's spherical beheader in order to achieve a greater breakthrough. On the first day, Yu Bing worked together with Yikong, Fatty Hai, and the Li brothers. However, Yu Yang saw that her 100-years-old Tran defender was too strong. On the second day, he brought her to a place 100 meters away from Yikong and the others, leaving Yikong, Fatty Hai, and the Li brothers to train in 2 separate groups. Yikong had the Herculean rhinoceros beetle, which had an extremely strong defense, and the King Kong demon ape, which had an extremely strong attack, making him the strongest in the group. He had improved a lot, but it was a pity that the King Kong demon ape and the Herculean rhinoceros beetle were still young beasts. They had not been able to unleash the full power of their beasts. Otherwise, their strength would be even more impressive. Fatty Hai changed his previous laziness and followed Yu Yang's special training plan, focusing on training the iron-skinned rhinoceros that he did not really like. Yu Yang knew that Fatty Hai's potential was actually not bad. It was because he was usually too lazy, gluttonous, and cowardly that he became this cowardly. If Fatty Hai could grit his teeth and train hard, he would still be able to have some achievements. Under Yu Yang's casual pointers, the Li brothers, who usually didn't like to talk and were unknown to the public, had also improved significantly in their combat skills. They were not very talented, but they were very hard-working. Hard work can make up for one's lack of talent. However, not long after they split up, their wind wolves were surrounded and attacked a Crimson Fire soldier, and, due to a mistake in their control, the wind wolves were burned to death by the Crimson Fire soldier ant. There was always a limit to the amount of time that they could summon their beasts. In order to quickly improve themselves and not be a burden to Yu Yang, Yikong and the others trained hard every day. Whenever they came across a fire red ant that was wandering around looking for food, they would take the initiative to attack it. Under extreme exhaustion, they could still barely hold on, but the 2 wind wolves could not hold on and died in battle. In 3 days, Yikong and the others had already killed 7 fire red ants, including a giant fire red ant that was more than 8 meters in size. Yu Bing killed 6 fire red ants on her own, and she did it with ease. With Yu Yang's guidance and her own understanding, she became more and more adept at controlling the 100-year-old Tran defender. Golden ant eggs. We found golden ant eggs, but they were discovered by the ant guards. An ant tide broke out in the ant nest, and 100 mercenaries were surrounded. Help! I hope that our friends who are in the ant hole can come and help us. The Alliance Beast Store has promised that all those who come to our rescue will receive at least 1 gold, and will be rewarded according to their contributions. I hope that our friends can quickly come to the ant nest in the 2nd underground floor and lend us a helping hand. From the depths of the ant hole, a cry for help was emitted using a SOS scroll. The entire cave was filled with echoes. This kind of SOS scroll was the lowest level of SOS scroll. It was usually used by mercenaries. Its range of transmission was not big, only around 5 kilometers. Furthermore, using sound waves to call for help could easily expose one's location and attract even more enemies, putting the person calling for help in greater danger. It was usually not used by the army. However, in the Despair Abyss, it was commonly used. This was because the monsters here mainly relied on their sense of smell and heat to explore. Using sound to call for help was not sensitive to it, and would not come looking for it. Another point was that the terrain here was very complicated. There were many caves, pits, cliffs, and these kinds of low valleys and depressions. Hence, Using sound to call for help was more effective than using fireworks or strong lights. Bing Air, let's go. When Yi Yang heard about the outbreak of the ant tide, he hurriedly brought Yu Bing to meet up with Yi Kong and the others, preparing to leave. The outbreak of the ant tide was extremely terrifying. A single fire red ant nest would probably have tens of thousands of ants. In the ant hole, just the fire red ant nests that were marked on the map alone numbered close to 100. There were probably even more that were not recorded. There were countless fire red ants in the entire ant hole. Normally, they would go berserk when an intruder killed a new ant queen or broke a large number of ant eggs. Once such a thing happened, all the ants would go berserk. All the fire red ants in the nest would come out in full force and crawl around, killing all the intruders. This was because all of the fire red ants originated from a single primitive ant queen. For thousands of years, the number of fire red ant queens kept increasing, resulting in the ant hole today. However, in reality, they were all mother and daughter or sisters. They had the same inheritance. Hence, they were able to live together peacefully. If they were to face an enemy, they would fight with all their might regardless of their tribe. Facing the tide-like ant tide and the terrain of the ant hole, not to mention normal mercenaries, even a level 6 elder might not be able to escape alive. Quick, fatty! Yi Kong and the others had already run over. The ant tide was definitely not a joke. Although the golden ant eggs were a huge temptation, but compared to the golden ant eggs and their lives, everyone would still choose to save their own lives. Yu Yang and the others did not go deep into the ant hole in the first place. In just a few minutes, they had already run out. However, when they came out of the ant hole, many mercenaries wielding their weapons and bringing along their beasts rushed into the ant hole. The saying that humans die in pursuit of wealth and birds die in pursuit of food was the best proof at this moment. Most of the mercenaries stayed outside the ant hole to watch. They were not willing to enter the ant hole to throw away their lives, but they were concerned about the development of the situation. Brother, why don't you go in and take a look? We will stay outside. Don't worry, nothing will happen to us. Yu Bing hoped that Yu Yang could do things without restraint and not only care about himself. After such a long period of training, she had already understood her brother's powerful abilities. She had also developed a great trust in her brother. Furthermore, she knew that her brother was not a reckless person. If he went in, even if he couldn't get that golden ant egg, he would at least be able to return safely. The little girl thought that her brother had a set of super strong combat skills, and also had the help of the Bloody Queen and the barbarian Cow Shadow. It shouldn't be a problem for him to go in and out of the ant hole freely. We will be fine. Yi Kong also nodded towards Yu Yang. He also hoped that Yu Yang would be able to improve as much as possible. After all, he was everyone's leader. No matter when, Yu Yang had to be the one who improved the fastest in the group. Now, this was the best opportunity for him to do so, so of course he would encourage him to go in. If the ant tide surges out, we will retreat to the settlement camp and wait for you. This was the first time in his life that Fatty High said something that was not nonsense. I will be back very soon. Yu Yang really wanted to see what the deeper parts of the ant hole looked like. Yu Yang left Hui Tai Lang behind. On one hand, it could protect Yu Bing. On the other hand, Hui Tai Lang wouldn't be of much use in front of the ant tide. When the mercenaries went deeper into the ant hole, they would often bring back all kinds of ores. Yu Yang also discovered that the deeper they went, the weirder the plants were. Many of the fungi were even precious medicinal herbs. In these 3 days, Yu Yang had collected at least more than 10 kinds of medicinal mushrooms that couldn't be found anywhere else. Yu Yang didn't have high hopes for the golden ant egg. This was because the mercenaries who obtained the golden ant egg would probably use a teleportation scroll to leave immediately. It was impossible for them to stay down there. They only said that to attract more people to save them. If it wasn't for the mercenaries stealing the golden ant egg, the ant colony wouldn't have gone crazy, and there wouldn't have been an ant tide. Yu Yang's main goal was to explore the deeper parts of the ant hole and see if there were any precious medicinal herbs. According to the plant-type knowledge that Grandma Wu Tung had imparted to him, Yu Yang was preparing to concoct a pill that could allow plant-type beasts to rank up. He wanted to give it to Yu Bing's 100-man Trant Defender to test its effects. This green spirit pill required 72 kinds of medicinal herbs. Among them, 5 of them were fungi. Yu Yang had only found 3 of them so far. He was still missing 2. The ant tide wasn't much of a threat to Yu Yang, who had the nature's heart that could conceal his presence. The fire red ants mainly used their smell to discover their enemies. In front of them, Yu Yang was like an invisible man. Unless they used their antennae to touch Yu Yang's body, even if they walked past him, the chances of him being discovered wouldn't be high. Chasing after a large group of mercenaries, Yu Yang ran through the winding ant hole for more than 10 minutes. Suddenly, the area in front of him became clear. A huge cave that was 10 times bigger than a football field appeared in front of him. The mercenaries squeezed at the entrance of the cave, not daring to go out. This was because, regardless of whether it was the ground or the ceiling, they were all densely packed with fire-red ants. From the looks of it, there were more than 10,000 of them. Not to mention normal mercenaries. Even Yu Yang couldn't help but feel his scalp go numb when he saw this. If there were a lot of ants, it would be very scary. Furthermore, in this soaring dragon continent, the weakest creatures were really not ants. These fire-red ants were level 3 creatures when they hatched. The even bigger ant soldiers were level 4 creatures. There was also a type of ant queen's guard that could spit out a long pillar of fire that was level 5. Although they weren't elite-ranked creatures, when there were a lot of them, their battle power would still be hard to match. If they forcefully started a war and brought tens of thousands of troops here, they would probably be completely annihilated and become the fire-red ants' food. Spray ant water. These fire-red ants are idiots. They will mistake us for their own kind and won't discover us. A brave mercenary leader took out ant water and sprayed it all over his body, bringing his most desperate members to take the risk and enter. Their goal was not money, but the golden ant eggs. Those who have flying-type beasts, follow me. Some people had already thought of a way, which was to use flying-type beasts to carry them forward. Those who don't want to move aside. Cowards, watch me count my money. An especially bold mercenary pushed his way through the crowd, brandishing his axe as he jumped out of the ant passage and charged into the swarm of ants. They sprayed insect repellent water on their bodies. Not to mention the fire-red ants, many other insect-type creatures hated this kind of unpleasant smell. Under normal circumstances, they would purposely avoid it, unwilling to attack these smelly people. There was not only one ant passage on Yu Yang's side, there were more than 10 of them. Countless mercenaries who were willing to risk their lives for money came out one after another, causing a commotion among the fire-red ants. From time to time, there would be mercenaries who were mistakenly identified by the fire-red ants and killed on the spot. However, there were even more people who were deceived by the ant water, insect repellent water, and other sprays. Yu Yang soundlessly came out of the crowd and chased closely behind these fugitives. After passing through another underground ant passage, he arrived at another nest that was even bigger than the previous one. He discovered that there were even more fire-red ants here. There were more than 10,000 fire-red ants crawling around crazily, looking for enemies everywhere. There were also giant ant guards that spat out long pillars of fire, dancing chaotically in the sky. The fire-red ants stacked on top of each other as they crawled on the ground, looking for the intruder who had stolen the golden ant eggs. Almost 100 mercenaries were standing on a small platform on the mountain wall with their teeth trembling. They sprayed a large amount of insect repellent water around the platform and raised their torches, barely protecting themselves as they guarded the platform. However, they reckoned that they would not be able to hold on for long. Once the smell of the insect repellent water dissipated, they would definitely be torn to shreds by the ant swarm. The densely packed ant swarm circled around them crazily. Although the fire-red ants did not have any intelligence, their natural instincts would not give up their search easily. They kept searching for the intruder who had disappeared. Brothers, for the sake of money, give up your lives. Charge. Actually, most of the mercenaries were not here for the money, but for the golden ant eggs. Some of them were prepared to kill the mercenaries on the platform and take the golden ant eggs for themselves. Rescue? What they were doing now was to pretend to rescue them, then lure the ant swarm over and kill the mercenaries on the platform. Then, they would wait for an opportunity to snatch the golden ant eggs. Yu Yang saw with his own eyes that a few mercenary group leaders had come up with a plan and threw the insect repellent towards the direction of the platform. This caused the fire-red ants to become even crazier, while the mercenaries on the platform cursed loudly. A small number of mercenaries who were here to rescue the fire-red ants started to fight with these selfish people in an abnormal rage. The scene was a mess. The fresh blood that splashed out when they were injured had attracted the ant swarm. The fire-red ants were like a tidal wave, surging towards them. Could it be that the golden ant eggs are really here and not brought out? Yu Yang's sharp eyes saw that in the center of the 100 mercenaries, there were a few people who were carrying huge backpacks. Their expressions were solemn and complicated as they looked at the worsening situation in front of them. Seeing their reactions, Yu Yang's heart skipped a beat. These fellows must have discovered something more precious than the golden ant eggs. They were using the golden ant eggs as a cover. The people who escaped using teleportation scrolls should have brought back the best things. If the thing that was left here was the golden ant eggs, then what exactly were the things that they brought back? What could be more precious than the golden ant eggs? Yu Yang's heart was filled with curiosity. Maybe he could make a deal with them, because he still had quite a few teleportation scrolls in his backpack. Different from normal warriors, Yu Yang was like an invisible man, walking confidently in the ant swarm. Even if he stepped on the back of an ant, he would not alarm the ant swarm. Under the flabbergasted gazes of all the mercenaries, Yu Yang walked to a distance of 10 meters away from the platform and stood on the back of a huge ant guard. Following the movement of the mutated ant guard, his figure fluctuated between high and low. Under the dumbstruck gazes of everyone, Yu Yang's smile was as bright as the sun. He raised his voice and asked, "Everyone, are you interested in chatting for a while? Maybe we can make a small deal. It's just that I don't know what you guys have that I could trade with." On the platform, a man who looked like the leader opened his mouth and said, "I don't know if you have any teleportation scrolls. We are willing to buy them at a high price. Just name your price." Yu Yang knew that if he didn't show them some of his strength, these fellows would not obediently listen to him. He didn't reply and only pulled out the Hui Jin magic blade from his waist. Using his innate chi to crazily activate the blade, purple flames soared up like a volcano eruption. The Hui Jin magic blade in Yu Yang's hands lightly spun. After 3 days of careful comprehension, the twin fish spherical beheader had become even more exquisite and perfect. The purple flames formed a huge circle around Yu Yang, cutting through the space around him with an incomparably sharp edge. All the fire-red ants that were within the radius of the circle were silently sliced into 2 halves. Furthermore, the fire-red ants that were originally immune to flames were actually burned into charred corpses by the purple flames. The area within 10 meters of Yu Yang instantly became a vacuum zone. One slash shook the heavens and earth. This was the power of Yu Yang's one slash. Seeing Yu Yang's move, all the mercenaries, including the leader, were so scared that their legs turned to jelly. They couldn't help but swallow their saliva nervously. Terrifying. Under the situation where he didn't summon any beasts, he already had such a terrifying power. What kind of rancor was this masked thief? The leader on the platform wiped away his cold sweat and hurriedly showed some respect. "We pay our respects to you. We are very happy to receive a strong rancor's help. If you can lead us out of the ant hole, we are willing to offer a golden ant egg as a reward." The mercenaries on the platform quickly nodded their heads and agreed. Having a strong rancor's help was better than having an army of thousands of men and horses. Their only worry was that they didn't know what the other party's conditions were. "No, I'm not interested in your golden ant egg." Yu Yang wasn't interested in the fire-red ants, even if they were gold-ranked larvae. Ants were creatures that relied on numbers. No matter how strong they were individually, they wouldn't be that strong. Hearing Yu Yang's words, the leader's expression changed slightly. He looked at his 2 companions beside him and shouted loudly towards Yu Yang. "Respected rancor, I don't know what conditions you need. The most precious thing we have is the golden ant egg, but there are only 3 of them. We have already agreed to sell one to the Alliance B shop, so we only have two left. We will share them with you. This is the fruit of our blood, so we can only afford to pay you." Yu Yang smiled indifferently. "I want the thing you have that is even more precious than the golden ant egg." Hearing this, the leader's entire body trembled. His eyes revealed an expression of disbelief, but he quickly denied it. "No, we don't have that kind of thing on us. Could it be that there is something more precious than the golden ant egg in the anthole? That's impossible. Is that so?" Yu Yang smiled and suddenly made a condition to the people on the platform. "I'll give a teleportation scroll to whoever says what treasure it is the fastest." Everyone immediately looked at each other in dismay. Everyone wanted to say it, but none of them were willing to become a shameful traitor. Yu Yang suddenly made an action that completely crushed the determination in everyone's heart. He took out a teleportation scroll from his backpack. As long as he said it, he could leave and live. Survival, it was just a matter of opening one's mouth. Should he say it or not? Hard-shelled dragon fruit. Just as Yu Yang took out the teleportation scroll, a skinny mercenary opened his mouth. His speed was the fastest. Not only did he say what the treasure was, he even jumped down from the platform, afraid that he would be killed by the leader if he betrayed his comrades. He jumped agilely on the back of the fire-red ant and finally jumped in front of Yu Yang. His face was filled with longing as he stretched out his hand. "We found the legendary hard-shelled dragon fruit." The hard-shelled dragon fruit is the main ingredient for concocting the martial spirit pill. "Please give me a teleportation scroll. I don't want to die, and I can't die. My family needs me to return alive. Please, for the sake of my elderly parents and my 3-month-old daughter, Rancor, please give me a chance. I don't want anything. I just hope to be able to return and reunite with my family. Please fulfill your promise. You are an indomitable Rancor. Your words are as heavy as a mountain. Please take pity on me, I beg you." "Very good. Your initiative and honesty have earned you the right to live." This was the effect that Yu Yang wanted. He passed a teleportation scroll to that mercenary. That mercenary received it and immediately opened the scroll. Before leaving, he was touched and deeply bowed towards Yu Yang. Then, he quickly rushed into the circle of light and teleported away. That leader couldn't stop him, and the mercenaries on the platform were filled with regret. The chance to live was right in front of their eyes, but they missed it just like that. They knew that not everyone could survive here. There would definitely be some people who would become the sacrificial pawns for others to escape. Even though they knew the ending, none of them were willing to become the pitiful sacrificial pawns. Even if there was a glimmer of hope, they all hoped that they could leave this place alive. If they could live, no one was willing to die. Yu Yang took out more than 10 teleportation scrolls and gestured towards the leader on the platform. "Now, you can make a choice. One is to die here with all your companions. When all of you are dead, I will come back to pick up the things I need. 2 is to accept the trade and leave with the companions that you have chosen. Because you have taken away the valuable things, the ant colony will disperse, and the mercenaries that came to rescue and rob will also disperse. Those who stay behind will have a higher chance of surviving. 3 is to defeat me, and these teleportation scrolls will all belong to you." Everyone looked at the leader, hoping that he would make a choice. 3 choices, it was that simple. However, this was also the most difficult choice in life. Chapter 144. If there was only one teleportation scroll, perhaps the mercenary group leader would not have made the choice, because he could not abandon his brothers who had followed him through life and death. However, in Yu Yang's hands, there were more than 10 teleportation scrolls. This was enough for him to take his most loyal and trustworthy brothers and safely leave this perilous situation. Understand, the things that a person obtains should match his abilities. You are strong. You will obtain more. I have decided to choose the second option and accept the deal. As a group leader, I hope to be able to bring all the brothers in the group out. Perhaps you won't be satisfied with just a hard-shell dragon fruit. If you need it, I can stay behind and be your guide. My request is for you to open a path for my brothers to leave this ant nest. At the very least, they can safely disappear from my sight. I hope that you can let me fulfill my final responsibility as a leader. Is that possible?" The mercenary group leader made a request that made Yu Yang slightly surprised. He was actually willing to stay behind, to be a hostage and guide, in exchange for a chance for everyone to escape. Just based on this point, he was a qualified leader. A tall and sturdy black man immediately objected. "Leader, no matter who stays, it can't be you. I will stay. You can bring everyone out." "Shut up. What you need to do is to listen to the deputy leader's words. When you go out, you have to be especially careful and cautious, so as to avoid getting yourself killed." The mercenary group leader and another middle-aged man with a tall and slender figure, whose eyes flashed with wisdom, nodded at each other. They exchanged the bags on their backs with the middle-aged man, then turned to Yu Yang and said, "As long as my brothers reach the ant path, then I will bring you to the place 2 levels below. There, we found this hard-shell dragon fruit. Maybe with your ability, you can discover more secrets and obtain more. Aren't you afraid that I will snatch it?" Yu Yang smiled and asked. A true strong person has a proud and unyielding character, looking down on the common people. Of course, they will not be as greedy as bandits. If you wanted to snatch it, you could have killed us all just now. Why wait until now? The leader shook his head. "Open the bag and let me see the hard-shell dragon fruit first." Yu Yang didn't kill him. It wasn't because of the pride of an expert, but because he wanted to find out more about the location of the hard-shell dragon fruit, hoping to find more secrets. This kind of hard-shell dragon fruit was different from ordinary dragon fruits. It only grew beside the hot springs of volcanoes. It was said that it was born from the venomous saliva of giant dragons. If it was used to concoct martial spirit pills, it could stimulate the potential of martial artists. If the Spirit Beast Awakening Knowledge Pill was worth 1,000 gold, then the Martial Spirit Pill was a priceless treasure. After all, contracting a summoning grimoire was something only a few people could do. However, stimulating the human body's potential was something that every martial artist needed. Some people, when faced with a bottleneck, could not break through for the rest of their lives. If there was a martial spirit pill, then it could immediately stimulate their potential, break through the bottleneck, and advance to a new level, or even continue to break through. 300 years ago, there was a martial artist who trained hard until he was 40 years old, but his strength was still that of a novice apprentice. He was unable to become a warrior and was ridiculed by the world as an idiot. However, after he took a martial spirit pill, he immediately stimulated his body's potential and broke through to become a novice apprentice. In the end, this idiot, who was ridiculed by the world countless times, cultivated to a level that was hard for the world to look up to, a level 9 saint. This martial artist, who was previously called an idiot by the world, was also one of the 2 heavenly imperial guardians of the Xia Kingdom, the ascetic practice saint. Although not everyone could become a saint after taking a martial spirit pill, this ascetic practice saint was indeed able to stimulate his potential because of the martial spirit pill. Only then could he be reborn and achieve his current achievements. If he did not take that martial spirit pill, he might really be an idiot for the rest of his life. The martial spirit pill was 100 times more difficult to concoct than the Spirit Beast Awakening Knowledge Pill. Just the main ingredient, the hard-shell dragon fruit, was enough to give the world a splitting headache. It was not because the hard-shell dragon fruit grew beside the hot springs of volcanoes, nor was it because there was a giant dragon's nest next to it. It was because the hard-shell dragon fruit ripened once in 1,000 years. If it was not ripened, it could not be plucked and would not have any effect. To wait for it to ripen, it would take as long as 1,000 years. By then, a human's bones would probably have already turned into mud in the grave. Furthermore, once it ripened, there would usually be strong demon beasts who heard the news and came to fight for it. Under all kinds of difficult conditions, the hard-shell dragon fruit was one of the world's top 10 strange fruits that were hardest to pluck. I can't open it, because the moment I open it, the fragrance will seep out. At that time, all the fire-red ants in the ant nest will go crazy. Respected Rancor, I swear, please believe me. I dare to use my life to guarantee that it is a hard-shell dragon fruit, and it is a fruit that is definitely ripe." The leader shook his head. He threw the bag high up into the air, and it landed in front of Yu Yang. Yu Yang would definitely not trust a stranger easily. However, he had the divine vision and the senses of his innate qi. As for whether it was a hard-shell dragon fruit or not, he did not need to open the bag at all. The moment the bag entered his hands, Yu Yang discovered that there was a huge amount of energy stored inside. It was so strong that he did not need to sense it to be able to feel it clearly. Yu Yang unceremoniously kept it into his lich ring. Then he raised his Hui Ji magic blade and said lightly, "If you guys can keep up, then I can send you guys into an ant tunnel. But don't expect me to send you guys out of the cave. I'm not your nanny." Even if Yu Yang did not have the intention to save them, the mercenaries on the platform were still extremely touched. Right now, it was already very rare that he did not hit them when they were down. They all took out their insect bait and threw it far away, hoping to attract more fire-red ants to leave temporarily and create a path for them to escape. Even more people sprayed ant water and insect-repellent water on their bodies. There were also people who smeared mud on their bodies, hoping that the effect of the water would last longer. The three men carrying the golden ant eggs on their backs hugged their leader tightly. A few of the most loyal members also took out their throwing knives, poisonous sand, daggers, and other items and handed them over to their leader. They hoped that their leader would be able to increase his combat power a little and increase his chances of survival. They did not even need to think to know how dangerous this trip would be if they went deeper into the ant nest. It was definitely an action with a slim chance of survival. However, in order to save everyone, their leader had decided to stay behind as a hostage and a guide. This was already the best choice. Yu Yang also threw the insect bait that he bought in Hopetown far away, causing a commotion in the ant nest. They pounced towards a spot where the insect bait was smashed and killed any living things that came into contact with the insect bait without any explanation, even if they were their comrades. To them, a strange smell meant that it was an enemy. The purple flames of his Hui Jin magic blade soared into the sky. Yu Yang imitated Yu Qiu's first slash, earth-splitting slash, and exploded once again. Compared to when he was in the Yu clan castle, Yu Yang's sword intent had improved a lot. If the previous Yu Yang's first slash, earth-splitting slash, only had a similar sword intent, the moves and power were completely different. But now, even Junwu Yu and Elder Yu Hai, who were extremely familiar with Yu Qiu's combat skills, would probably recognize it wrongly. The power of this slash was at least 2 times stronger than before. This was still because Yu Yang had purposely suppressed it and did not fully unleash it. "All of you, get out of my way." Yu Yang discovered that a giant ant guard was crawling over with more than 10 fire-red ants. It seemed to have smelled something strange here. Some of the mercenaries that had jumped down from the platform were injured. The smell of fresh blood spread in all directions along with the wind, causing many fire-red ants to turn their heads and use their antennae to sense the situation. Yu Yang knew that if tens of thousands of fire-red ants swarmed over, he would only be able to escape, let alone save anyone. The purple flames of the Hui Jin magic blade in his hands grew bigger and exploded. With a loud boom, the entire space was scorched. The mercenaries felt the heat wave rolling towards them. All of them were frightened out of their wits. In the end, fortunately, only their hair and tendrils were burnt and did not catch fire like they had imagined. They immediately worshipped Yu Yang's ability to control fire, because they had all seen the same explosion. The fire-red ants at the front and the 2 sides had their antennae burnt by the purple flames. Countless fire-red ants were rolling around in the flames, unable to bear the pain. This move was simply as cool as the legendary fire god, who could control all the flames in the world. What are you all waiting for? Seeing that these fellows were scared stiff and looking at him foolishly, Yu Yang was furious. Yes, the wise vice-captain was the fastest to react. He stuffed something into the mercenary leader's hand, and then immediately ran towards the path that Yu Yang had opened up, running forward with all his might. A large group of mercenaries followed behind him, striving to outdo each other. Yu Yang continuously slashed at the front, using his purple flames to force the fire-red ants to retreat. He opened up a path with fewer fire-red ants, allowing the mercenaries to run towards the nearest ant tunnel. The vice captain and the black-skinned man, who were the first to rush in, had already started fighting with the fire-red ants in the ant tunnel. Even more mercenaries, in order to survive, also rushed forward to help. The one who stayed at the back was an old man with a golden ant egg on his back. He came over and received the 10 teleportation scrolls from Yu Yang. Aha, you must come back. You must. Without you, the family will fall apart. You must remember this. That old man seemed to be the leader's uncle. Before he left, he did not forget to stuff a teleportation scroll into the leader's hand. I'm fine. You guys go quickly. The leader of the mercenary group, called Ahau, did not stand on ceremony. He received the teleportation scroll and stuffed it into his robes, then hurriedly ran to Yu Yang's side. If not for Yu Yang's protection, the chances of him surviving in the sea of ants would be 0. Yu Yang saw the mercenaries rushing into the ant tunnel. Those who were slightly slower were crying and begging for their companions to pull them up. However, most of them only cared about running away. Very few of them swam back in the opposite direction to lend a helping hand. In short, it was a chaotic scene. Yu Yang slashed out a stream of fire force, igniting the tentacles of a few fire-red ants that were following behind him. The blade radiance killed the fire-red ants that were about to reach the entrance of the ant tunnel. This could be considered as sending them on their final journey. Yu Yang could not be bothered about whether they lived or died after this. When he turned his head back to look at the leader of the mercenary group, the leader called Ahau used his trembling finger to point at an underground cave where countless fire-red ants were crawling out. His lips were trembling a little as he said with certainty, It's from there. Yu Yang would not bring a burden along with him. He grabbed the leader of the mercenary group and jumped back to the platform. He passed the map over and said, "Mark it clearly on the map, then you can go." Really? When the leader of the mercenary group, called Ahau, heard this, he was stunned at first. He could live? In an instant, he was extremely touched. He thanked Yu Yang profusely and hurriedly marked the route he had taken on the map. In the end, when he took out a teleportation scroll and was about to leave, he suddenly raised his head and looked at Yu Yang. He was touched and asked, "Can you tell me your name?" Yu Yang could not be bothered with this fellow. Could it be that he still wanted to seek revenge? As for repaying his debt of gratitude, forget it. The leader of the mercenary group, called Ahau, gave a small object to Yu Yang with both of his hands. "We relied on this to get the hard-shelled dragon fruit. We hid it from you because we were afraid that you would go back on your words and not save us after getting the hard-shelled dragon fruit. We have the heart of a vile person. We are ashamed. We hope that you will be magnanimous. We'll take our leave now. If I, Zhong Hao, am able to return alive, we will meet again in the future. If you have any tasks for us, the Wild Sand Mercenary Group will be at your service." Twin dragon scissors? I have always been curious as to how you were able to pick the hard-shelled dragon fruit. So this is what you have. Not bad. With this, I don't have to use so much effort to carry the gold-ranked dragon slaying dagger. How many hard-shelled dragon fruits are there down there? Yu Yang lightly tossed the small golden object in his hand and kept it. We don't know because there are dragons down there. We didn't dare to get too close. At that time, we only took one. When we heard the dragon's roar, we were so scared that we hurriedly escaped. When the leader of the mercenary group thought of stealing the fruit, he even shivered. He hurriedly opened a teleportation scroll and left. There are really dragons? Is it a giant dragon or a flying dragon? Yu Yang's heart was moved. If he could slay a dragon, then his harvest this time would be even greater. Regardless of whether there were dragons down there or not, he must go and take a look. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.